Big up yourself. Welcome back to the Secret Society of Good Guys. This is the second episode, and tonight we are going to get down on all things Apple. You have met last week Thomas and Layla and Gordy, and this week we welcome Abby. You are officially a Secret Society of Good Guy.
Hey.
My initiation.
Yeah.
Well, that'll happen later off camera.
All right.
Oh.
As long as it's not all like 3 hours and like I did the Rainbow Girl initiation once and that was horrible.
The Rainbow Girl, Eastern Star. Is that like the Lady Masons?
It's the daughters of Masons, yeah.
What's the initiation? Dare I ask?
You wear formal dresses and you walk around in circles a billion times, and you have the girl whose job is Faith kind of leads you through, and you stop at all these different stations, every color of the rainbow, and each one represents something. Like red is love, is yellow is nature, green is immortality, blue is fidelity, patriotism, and purple is service, I want to say. But you have to like do laps around the room, like 5 laps, and then you stop at one, and then you do another 5 laps, and then you stop at the next one. So it was hard to stay awake.
It's kind of like Midsummer Maypole. You know how like they step under each other and then the other ones step under? Like, I don't know what kind of rituals those are. I always just like go back to either myself in the 4th grade or the movie Midsummer.
And a little book is called A Ritual.
Reminds me of Mecca.
It's called
circling around.
It's called The Ritual, yeah.
Wow, interesting.
I was gonna ask at the end of that, do you guys summon Captain Planet or something?
You do this whole you kneel at the altar, and I don't know, you do learn the secret handshakes and all of that, you know.
Are there any blood oaths? Like, are there any threats made if you like what you're telling us right now? Are you gonna die now?
Like
we have to protect you. Are we now battling another secret society?
But you do the same oath, you know. You never reveal their secrets or whatever.
We picked a big fight on our second episode, it sounds like.
Wow,
iron sharpens iron.
We're violating death oaths 3 minutes in.
Wow, that was fast.
Wow. Ended a big old target on
usually we have to warm up, but man, I was going to announce this and everything. Like
it's funny too. What you just said is that it just was really hard to stay awake because it's not like these things are going on and it's like fireworks and people are like cheering. It's very solemn. It's almost like monotonous sometimes. I think a lot of this stuff was just written by really old people, and it was fun for old people to do. And it doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't invigorate the same way. Like if I was grown up on like 80s cartoons and I'm ready for like bright flashing colors that would give most people a seizure, right? That's what keeps me entertained. And then you go into these like somber rituals, and it's, I don't know, it's hard to stay awake.
It is.
We can hear typing.
You can hear typing?
Mm-hmm.
You heard... I wasn't typing. It will not.
Ghost?
It was me.
I know. It was ghost type.
Was it just me?
It was you typing,
I like
Gordy.
this.
You heard yourself.
Like
it's by you now. Yeah, you can hold it.
I can hold it.
You can lick it.
I could just be it.
Can you do like the little, like the Vanna White presenting?
Yeah. You're going to have to start working out you're going to have to start lotioning your hands.
Right?
I love it.
A new car.
I love it. I love it.
I'll work on
How are you guys doing this week? Anything new? Anything going down?
Like as in what? Like in reality? In like life?
Life, the world, anything. What's your algorithm going? You got anything weird going on in your algorithm?
Yeah, a few things. Obama the Antichrist, him being the Antichrist, that whole spiel coming on the timeline again. Like, I've been there. Why is it coming on the timeline again? Like, why does it need to come back? And all these videos referencing Obama and Obama back on the timeline. And I'm like, this is just fucking weird. Like, it'll be this whole week. Next week, it's not going to be on my timeline. Something completely different for the entire week.
That's awesome. Did you just mute your mic with touch?
Wow.
Like magic.
That's a good feature.
Yeah.
What put Obama back on the timeline this week? I've been out of the loop.
Well, this whole okay, not only Obama, but him being the Antichrist, but everyone and the 23rd, 9/23, and the apocalypse happening, and the rapture happened, and some
that
people
was
are
a big date.
upset.
I saw people picking out 9/23 for like
And
the end times.
Lots of prophets out there who are saying that this is going to happen and that we're going to be raptured. And if you're not raptured, man, you're lost. And a lot of people out there think that people are raptured right now and that they were left back. But, people can believe whatever they want to believe. Everyone's allowed to do that.
If the rapture happened and you were here,
Mm-hmm.
like if it happened,
okay,
then what?
FAO Schwartz. We're playing piano with our feet.
Have any of you guys seen the movie A Day Without a Mexican?
No.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Well,
Are you coming on
comedy,
here
but-
to spread some crazy racist stuff right now?
You guys should watch it.
I'm just kidding.
Cheney's
Like an
young.
immigration movie. It's
Yeah,
written
it
by
is.
Donald
It's an-
Trump.
Have you seen it?
No.
Basically, all the Mexicans in Southern California get raptured, and so like all the white people are like, "Who's gonna clean my house? Who's gonna mow my lawn? Who's gonna
Oh my
do my
God.
plumbing?" And it's so like it's basically saying that illegal immigration works for the United States, and you can say what you want, but it does,
Mm.
And but it was really good. It's funny as hell.
My Maria posted an interesting post on, was it a fish? Like a little comic strip today about being pulled out of, where was it? Oh my God. I need to rewatch it. It was a very interesting little snippet that she posted today that kind of referenced to the rapture happening, but as like being chosen in this. Go ahead. I'm going to find it and I'll come back to this topic. Sorry. Give me 1 sec.
I thought one of the things going on this week that was kind of Looney Tunes, but not Looney Tunes, and is that there's all this flooding going on in New York right now. And, they're a whole city. They're the Big Apple. And they're a whole city that is at sea level, like in Manhattan, and they've declared a state of emergency as of today. And I don't see the rain stopping anytime soon. But I think they have subways, they have underground tunnels, they have systems that exist that probably we don't know a lot about. There's things all about New England where certain like pizza shops might be connected by underground basements. So I just think this storm, if they're already under a state of emergency now, if people from Florida or the Southeast that know about hurricanes, you can look at the spiral that's on them right now, and they're only at the beginning of it. This whole tail is going to whoop up on them, and I think they're in for at least like another 24 hours of rain. So if they're already under a state of emergency now, they don't have canal systems like Florida has. So I just think all the water is going to go into their basements and into their subway systems, and then it's only going to drain to the lowest level of things.
What about the mole men? Are the mole men okay?
Or the alligators.
You know what's
The
interesting?
alligators in the sewer system.
Coming, living in New York City my entire life, most of Brooklyn, because most of Brooklyn is underwater right now, but every single building that you see there has an underground kind of like basement that kind of goes like a level underneath the ground. So all those people are like flooded out. I mean, I had friends that lived in apartments like that. I mean, cozy little apartments, but all flooded. even parts of Manhattan. So for this to happen is unreal because I don't think this ever happened in the magnitude it's happened in Brooklyn. I don't remember the last time it happening like this ever. And I lived there for 30 plus years.
Part of it, I feel like with our sky clock and the great resets that happen to us over and over again, we would know all of our weather so much better, but they've taken away some part of that. Because it doesn't make, I've looked at Manhattan my entire life and I can see the way the island's built. I can tell you the way every bay is built. Storms hit there the same way as everyone's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe a storm hit the Baja. Really, the Baja has its shape because storms go right up it. So I'm looking at Manhattan and the island thinking it happens. Like it's cycle that we just don't remember. And they know about it.
Well, also, it's like, I can't believe that this path where the wind brings ships for thousands of years is also bringing water along that same path. Who would have ever thought? You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Do you guys know why New York got its name, the Big Apple?
There's a few theories.
Tell me some theories.
There's one about a jazz club in 1930s. That's all I know, but I didn't really dig deep into it much, but that's the gist.
I think it is jazz music. I know that was like a big thing about it. Yeah. Where did I write it? Many apples on the tree, but only one is the Big Apple. So J. Fitzgerald wrote a piece in the Morning Telegraph and kind of coined that term for it. And then it became the Big Apple. So they say, but that doesn't seem like it doesn't make sense.
There's a few that I've just like skimmed through. I'm like, just sounding like the first couple sentences just doesn't ring right to me. So I just move on. It's like a mystery to me because when I think of red apple, my bloodline, Albanian, there's a place called Nishi Molakucha, meaning the red apple. And that was part of the, I guess, Ottoman and Albanian Serbian border territory fight that they have, and that apple tree is like the center of it all. It's called the first Nishi and Mola Kucha, the red apple. Yeah. So that's another Big Apple city. But such a small city. Yeah. Nishi first.
And is it spelled the same way as Nietzsche, like the philosopher?
Nishi, Nishi.
Oh, okay.
Huh. In the town called Preševo or Preševa.
Apples actually, didn't they come from Kazakhstan, I think. Really? Isn't that where the apples originally, they say that apples originally came from?
Well, I know that Dionysus got a wine and fertility, created the apple. He preserved it, presented it to Aphrodite as a ritual before having sex so they can bring in fruitfulness.
But the thing about the apple is that until the 17th century, all fruit was considered apples except berries.
Interesting.
Yeah. So apple was just a generic term for fruit.
Even oranges?
Apple just was everything.
Apples and oranges.
Yeah, because there was some debate.
Apples were oranges, Abby. We're done here. Mic drop.
Boom.
Somebody was going to say something or no?
Actually, oranges were apples.
Oranges were apples. The golden apple.
What about
golden apple? There's so much on that.
American is apple pie. I always thought that one was interesting because apple pie is technically German and like apple strudel. No?
Right.
Right.
So what makes something apple pie an American? Why isn't that German? Or is it that there's so much of American culture that's based on Germanic? What was that? I
we
missed
wouldn't
it.
even have
I said
that.
a la mode, or is
mode.
that French?
And
That
Americans
seems
wouldn't
very
even have-
American, though. Let's add some more fat to it.
Oh yeah, more butter. That's
We'll
what it
mix
needs.
it all together and just kind of mush it up, and then like
Mm,
put it into a cup and put a cherry on top, and that's American.
it sounds amazing.
And then deep fry it.
Oh,
I'm
deep
so
fried,
hungry.
yes.
So the golden apple of Hesperides. It's a Greek name. I can't say it
Hesperides,
right.
I think.
Hesperides.
I
Yeah.
think.
Okay. I guess it came from the garden of Hesperides, which was the Hera's orchard. It was Hera's orchard, but Hesperides golden apples. How does that even? That's what I'm learning.
How do you like them apples?
How do you like them apples? And Hesperides, Zeus, and Hera also use the apple for before, having sex as a ritual. Is it an aphrodisiac? Does it help with stimulation? Does it do something in the sexual game that we don't know and we haven't tried out?
Well, it says it grants immortality, but what's cool about that, what I found interesting, is that it was protected by the great serpent called Ladon, I think, or Ladon. And so it's like another apple and a serpent.
Huh. The apple always with the serpent?
It sure seems like it.
Or the worm?
But that's the golden
The dragon.
apple.
When we're talking about the tree of knowledge, right, and the apple and the serpent, but I don't think the Bible ever actually mentions what fruit it was. It was just the fruit
Right,
of
it's
the
just a
tree.
fruit.
But in
It's just
Roman,
always
the word for apple was like malo or something. It was basically like a pun with the word evil. So they kind of used it as like a poetic nod to like the evil fruit from the evil tree that caused evil. And then that also just happened to mean apple, but it doesn't. It's the same thing in English. The word gift means poison in German, and just like you've got the witch giving Snow White the apple as this gift, there's something inherent in that. And shout out to Gabe Slick Dissident, but he mentioned this the other day, and it's been running in my mind that the reason why the word gift and poison are identical and related to this apple is that maybe the German translations and English, they share something in common, and what he called it was painful. Like the Germans have a painful translation of history in that it might be too brutally honest for anyone to really be ready for it, so we dress it up in these extra tales. But once you go into the actual translations of the original words, some of those original root words, they kind of like get passed down and like sort of embedded with these extra little messages. So like the fact that the etymology of gift turns into poison represents something that's kind of like baked into the word forever. Baked apple pie.
Okay, so check this out
Huh.
though. So the word Pandora, or the name Pandora, literally means all gifts. And I know because it's my daughter's name, right? And I got so much shit for naming my daughter Pandora. But it literally all given by the gods. So we were going into poison, and Pandora released pandemonium on the world.
Right.
Also, it means all gifts could mean poison. That's just so that's the Greek connection to the, even though you're saying it's German.
So I was thinking about that. We were talking earlier this week about the tree. Now, what the tree is called? Like, what did you call it, Thomas? The
tree of knowledge,
the
tree of good and
right?
evil, or the tree of knowledge of good and evil. There's a million of
them.
them.
Right. And then they call the actual fruit the fruit of knowledge, right? So I was thinking about what would be the fruit of knowledge, and the fruit of knowledge is wisdom. That's what comes after knowledge. Like, what would you rather have? A reality where you didn't know anything, you didn't know the truth, you weren't able to use wisdom to use that knowledge, or would you just still be at the tree not knowing? Like, I think it's kind of an interesting analogy if you flip it. Like, growing up Christian, we always thought like, oh, like that was the curse, like it was our downfall, it's what doomed us all. But what if that was the fucking freedom?
Well,
wasn't there two trees? Wasn't
think
there the tree of life and then
Yeah.
the tree of knowledge? And they have many depictions of what the fruit could be or what the tree could be.
But the tree
And
of knowledge, I would see it of good and evil as duality. It literally, like,
Right.
it really just brought duality into this realm. By eating of that fruit, they were able to see good and evil. So duality is also catalyst. They were never going to grow without it. So it's actually not, I mean, just like what you're saying. You don't grow without catalyst.
Yeah.
Something related to this came out recently, and I can't remember what it was, but the Michelangelo on the Sistine Chapel, he depicts the tree of knowledge with Lilith wrapped around it, and Lilith has like her top female half, and then the bottom half is the snake that's coiled around it, and she's kind of offering this apple the same way. And there's this links because if you read in the Bible, it was like first there was Adam and like this wife, and then it mentions Adam and Eve. And it's almost like, well, what happened to the first wife? It's almost implied that it's Eve, but there's this whole, thinking that we're talking about Lilith at this point. Lilith was basically Adam's equal, made out of the mud alongside him. And he didn't want an equal. He wanted something subservient that came from him and would rely on him. And that's when like it came out of the rib. But Lilith is like this forever scorned, I think she's known as like the forever maiden, just like a lot of the goddesses that predated her. But she also turns out to represent that like snake, shape-shifting reptilian holding up that apple and that tree of knowledge. So I always thought that was interesting because it's usually like some kind of abstract evil Lucifer snake deity, but in this case it might have actually been, Adam's direct counterpart that had the same amount of power that he did, and that's the one that offers up the information about duality.
So you brought up the rib thing, and I wanted to say this because I heard you guys kind of talk about this a little bit in the last episode. And everyone always talks about the translation saying that Eve was made from his rib. But somebody else brought up a translation that it wasn't exactly rib, it said bone, and it was actually, they believed that it was a baculum. So that humans used to have a penis bone just like all other mammals. So she was actually made out of his penis.
Does that make him gay?
Just a little bit. Or maybe it's like masturbation.
I don't know.
So Eve was a homunculus, we're saying.
Yes, she was made from his.
I just wonder what the tree and what the fruit is. Is it an apple? Because they said God said if you eat from that tree, you will die. When I think of that, I think of ego death. I don't think of actual death. What causes an ego death? Psychedelics, DMT, peyote. It could be any one of those things. It could be a mushroom. I mean, I don't know if I know how to do this, but like there's these ancient paintings depicting I forgot the name of that red mushroom with the
Amanita muscaria.
Yes, that. But it looked as tall as Adam and Eve, and Adam and Eve were like kind of giant, weren't they? Weren't they giants back in the day? Adam and Eve were the giants, the first giants of the world.
It gets a little murky when you start tracing the lineage beyond Adam and Eve. It kind of like
in Islam they believe that Adam was like 40 feet tall, 47 feet tall, something like that. But anyway, and a bunch of these pictures
in my Sunday school with the little felt things, like a 40-foot giant Adam, like that you put on with like color forms and stuff. Like that seems like a more fun story. So tell us the
Gilgamesh.
rest.
We're talking Gilgamesh now.
Yeah. Layla, I cut you off. Sorry.
I don't remember. When I have my thought, it's there, and then when it's gone, it's gone. Yeah, that. But how it was depicted, there were like tall trees, but bunch of mushrooms coming out of the trees in these ancient paintings. I don't know if I have the link set up on this. I have it on my phone. I was trying to send it to myself, but it wouldn't.
It looks like your shirt.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Layla, you're a mushroom.
Yes, I am. I didn't even think of that. Holy shit. But I don't know. I always wonder, is the apple or is it a fig? Is it psychedelics? Is it because they talk about, how they're, as soon as they bit into the apple or the fruit, all of a sudden they realized that they were naked. So they took one of the, I guess, leaves to cover themselves. And what covered them was a fig leaf.
Well, and if all fruit was apple, then it could have probably been a fig, right? And that was fairly popular in the countries that all the translations come from. But I 100% sold on it's a mushroom. In fact, I'm
Right?
usually down like the Pope's a mushroom, Jesus is a mushroom, Santa's a mushroom, everyone's mushroom.
Mushroom.
You just
But
think they're all different
apple
types
in
of
particular,
mushrooms.
the good
They're
ones,
fun guys.
there's pictures
They're all a
of the
bunch of fun
amanitas,
guys.
and they look like a big like fist growing out of the ground, and it almost looks like an apple, like not the one that you would get at Publix, right? But like a nasty one that's like a crab apple on the ground. But they have them out there that look very similar to that.
Did you guys see that meme of someone tapping the mushroom? And it was just a corpse. As soon as they tapped the mushrooms on the top, the corpse woke up as if it were like the corpse's penis. You guys see that meme?
No.
Oh, I gotta find
I'm
it.
still trying to figure out what the meme part is.
I know.
Okay, so
I was
it's
like,
like,
what? Corpse
imagine-
penis?
Imagine you're like tapping a freaking mushroom. Okay, this is the mushroom. And then the meme switches as a cartoon
Oh,
of
I
a
get it.
corpse waking up because like you woke up and that's part of the corpse's,
Is this thing on?
decomposition. Yeah. It's so clever. Millions of views, honestly. I can't believe you guys haven't seen that.
I think it's interesting what you were saying, Thomas, because if the tree of knowledge is always there, we hear about Adam and Eve or these other stories of the apple, but there's always the representation of the serpent. Is Lilith the serpent? And she's trying to convince Eve, like, hey, homegirl, you can have free choice too. You can have this knowledge
I don't know
too.
if Eve's hearing that. I don't think Eve hears
don't
any
think
of it. I
she's
think
into
Eve
it?
was made to not hear that message. Like Adam's like, hey God, this is a little too much, and he's like, all right, here's option B. And I think that at that point, Lilith, she kind of gets blamed for anything that can go wrong in relationship, marriage, especially childbirth. If your husband cheats on you, it's Lilith's fault. She seduced him. If anything happens during the night, like if Lilith came by the night, if like the male had like a wet dream or something, in the morning he would have to actually declare a formal divorce from Lilith because they were afraid that now he was married to her. So you'd have to like unmarry Lilith and then remarry the wife again. And if you didn't do this and write it in an
succubus
incantation
too?
bowl and bury it, it was very legal. It was like a lot of
look
legal
at all this.
process.
Lilith gets such a weight. But if she's represented as a serpent, and let's say the tree of knowledge existed for her, of good and evil existed for her as well, and let's say Adam didn't have the cojones to take a bite of it, but she did, and so he's like, okay, I'm going to make this other thing that's my equal now, that it's not going to take the bite of this thing either. And then here Lilith is like, trust me, girl, you want to bite this. You want a piece of this apple. You want to know what this is about. And so she bites it first. This is the story I always heard. Eve bites the apple first, and then she gets the pain of childbirth because she bit the apple. And then Adam bites it second after Eve. She convinces him of it. I always heard Eve was the wiles of her way. She convinces Adam to bite the apple, and he gets the apple stuck in his throat. And so that gives him the Adam's apple for the remainder. So she gets the pain from birth, and Adam gets the Adam's apple stuck in his throat.
Didn't it go that, okay, God said to Eve, why did you eat the apple? And she didn't lie to God and didn't blame anybody, and she blamed herself. She's like, yes, I ate the apple. And now I can see myself. I see I'm nude. And then God went to Adam. It was like, okay, so why did you eat the apple? It was like, she made me do it. She made me do it. And he made me do it. Like a little bitch. I mean,
yeah, they all told on somebody else.
Like, okay,
give us a fucking snake. This is a talking snake, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Like,
you,
did you hear
Eve had
that?
the balls
now.
I'm not gonna listen.
to say to God, yes, I did, and I repent. I did it. No, no ifs, ands, or buts, and said, yeah. She made me do it. I'm sorry.
You think he bit into the apple and he was like, "Yo, this is a fig." It's like, all of a sudden, there's like all different types of fruit pop up. Everything was an apple before.
Yeah. Well, I'd heard that pomegranate, they say too.
Yeah. That's
Pomegranates
a really
are a lot of work.
and very holy fruit.
Yeah.
Fruit.
Even with a Pinterest or a TikTok tip of how to eat your pomegranate, there's still a lot of work.
But it's like
I
the
agree.
sunflower seed of fruit.
They're so great.
They really are. You have to do that same kind of thing. I might as well just dip.
I like the popping. I like the popping.
We could arrange that.
Of the pomegranates, in your mouth. That's why I love them.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
I think an underrated fruit is the persimmon, though, because it's so good.
I don't know if I had a persimmon.
Oh my gosh,
before.
they're
Me either.
amazing.
It seems uppity.
Well, they kind of are, but they're amazing.
Maybe I have.
It seems bougie.
And they predict the winter as well. So, like wild persimmons, you could look if you cut them open. You can look, and they'll have either a spoon, a fork, or a knife, and it'll tell you what the winter.
Gordy,
will be
how
like.
do you order those at a restaurant?
Buffy, would you happen to have a persimmons?
I can't even say the word.
They look kind of like apples,
Weird.
like a mix between an apple and a tomato, but they grow on trees.
So, okay, check this out. This was my thing this week. Was the apple thing? I remember hearing the. Have you guys seen the Imitation Game movie?
No.
Benjamin Bandersnatch.
Oh yeah, about the World War II.
Yeah,
I'm blanking on his name.
Alan Turing was the
Turing,
the character that he essentially won the war for the Allies, is what they kind of said, because he kind of came up with the whole computer language thing then. Like, he was the one that did that crypto box that fixed that first computer language thing right at the end of
and the Turing test too, which is what we're still using as a standard for AI.
Exactly. He created AI, like the test for machine learning knowledge. Like, that didn't exist before him. And so the tragic story of Alan Turing is that he was gay, and in 1952, I think it was, he was arrested for lewd homosexual acts or something like that. And his punishment was, instead of doing time, he was arrested. Instead of doing time, they had him chemically castrated.
Oh, damn.
And 2 years later, he killed himself by eating a cyanide-laced poison apple. That's the story.
Holy shit.
I was going to put a joke in when you said chemically castrated, and then you were like, 2 years later, and I couldn't think of a Michael Jackson album quick enough to be like, he released the album Thriller. Like, but then you said it too quick. Sorry. Go back, Poison Apple.
Yeah, no. So I wanted to find out if there was actually, because okay, so I'm putting myself in. We're going back to. Wait, let me figure out English accent. We can't have this. I can't do an English accent. Buffy and Chad in my head.
English accent.
can't
You
think
go
of an English
it's like
accent.
Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Toppins.
We can't have this poofta having the legacy of winning the war for the Allies. We're going to have off this.
Cheerio.
Cheerio.
I can see somebody with one of those wigs, a barrister's wig, like declaring, "Yo."
Those barrister wigs have come up so much this week.
I know.
I feel like this is the
We
fifth
have to do
time
this
I've heard
soon,
about
right?
those wigs. Yeah, we're gonna have to wear those one night.
I don't know. Has anyone here actually been to court before and like had to go through the whole legal process?
Yeah.
I've been
Imagine
divorced.
how much horrible that experience would be when like everyone that's making your life a living hell is wearing like funny looking wigs and you're not allowed to laugh about it.
Oh man,
Oh
and
my
I'm an
God.
inappropriate laugher, so I would, and I would
That's
get in
terrible.
trouble. Like I remember in high school, all my friends were like, "If you get pulled over, just cry." And I get pulled over, and I'm laughing, and the cop, of course, gives me a ticket. Everybody else gets off with a warning, and I don't because I'm just laughing at him. I can't help it.
And now imagine he had a funny wig on.
Oh my, that's what I'm saying. I would laugh.
In Jamaica, they still wear those wigs.
Really?
So it's like
Yeah.
a Bismarcky music video or what?
You got what I need.
Oh, baby, you.
Oh, baby, you.
That was so
I
good.
miss Bismarcky. That's great. I'm
You
trying to
kind of
think of
stole a little of that David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
That was so good.
That was
Layla, dude, tonight.
Cause tonight will be the night I could fall for you. Has to
Sorry.
come randomly.
Yeah, I know. I'll stop putting it on the spot. I've
Yeah.
thought about it so many times this week,
Mhm.
just randomly. It's made me laugh in the back of my head. I've heard Layla sing "Close to Noise, the Noise," and I don't even know the words of that song, and I've never heard anyone sing it in real life. I've only heard people mimic it, but it was like that was the best one I've ever heard.
Have you guys seen what the first ever Apple computer logo was?
Yeah. So here's the connection to that.
I'm
So
gonna share it.
there is rumor. The next step of this story is supposedly Apple computers got the lore is that Steve Jobs got the design for he decided on the Apple logo with the chunk taken out of it for the logo after Alan Turing's story. Because I mean, he created the language that basically gave him the ability to make home computing possible, right? So it was like tribute to Alan Turing. And what was the original Apple's the second logo? The one once it got to the Apple, as we're looking at, a lot of us are probably looking at apples right now with the logo, right? With the bite out of it. Supposedly, the original one was the rainbow colors, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure in the timeline where the pride colors happened, but that was definitely, I mean, maybe it's a connection, but they say that happened before the pride flag was kind of embraced, but I'm not sure. It could be either or. There you go.
Interesting.
So the one of him sitting under a tree, what is that of? What's that a story of?
Probably Newton.
Yeah, Sir Isaac Newton
Isaac
sitting
Newton.
under an apple tree, inscripted.
I always thought it was a
Newton,
lemon tree. Was it always an apple tree?
a mind forever voyaging through strange seas of thought. That's what it's bordered around.
It's not a specific painting or anything of Newton. It's just their original gig.
Here, yeah, let me share it so you guys can see it.
I can blow it up too.
Oh,
Wasn't that one of their
shoot.
computers called the Newton?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it says alone, like ... alone. A mind forever voyaging through strange seas of thought ... alone.
No shade here, but I feel like Isaac Newton was like an incel. Like he would have been like an internet warrior with really strong opinions.
I'm not related to him. No shade. No shade here. Cheney, I want to tell you about your great uncle Isaac Newton, and he is an incel. Oh,
Wow, this is interesting. Choose your woman. Choose your woman. Apple superstition. Some men may discover they are attracted to several different women. Dating several women at the same time is fine for the notorious flirt. It is, however, no good if the man wants to settle down. The decision could be difficult. An old superstition tells us the solution is easy. The man needs to hold an apple in his hands. He then should start reciting the names of the women out loud. At the same time, he is to twist the stem of the apple without stopping. Oh my God, I used to do this when I was young. He needs to pay close attention to the name of the woman he was reciting as the apple falls to the ground. That will be his future spouse. This ritual can only be performed on Valentine's Day, February 14th.
Is that the trick to like mash working too?
Interesting.
You just do it on Valentine's Day?
I don't know.
Do you remember that?
Wait, what was it?
I said, is that the trick to making mash work too? Because we used to twist the
yeah.
apples, but maybe you gotta do it on Valentine's
Why
Day.
did I used to twist the apple when I was young? I did it for a reason. I don't remember why.
We would do the alphabet, and it was like
yes.
whatever letter it landed on was like the
Your
first letter.
dude you're gonna be with forever. Your love of your
Yep.
soulmate was you twist A, B, C.
And I bet P's land on J.
How does it work? Wait, what are the rules?
You hold the apple and you twist this apple, and then you count for each rotation. Oh, that's awesome that you have an apple.
B, C. Guess what kind it is? It's the best.
Gaia?
For this,
Fiji?
We actually, even
No.
Layla and I couldn't agree on the same apple.
Honeycrisp.
Honeycrisp.
They are the
was saying
best,
It was
man.
Honeycrisp.
Pearl,
Holy shit.
I'm a pink
That's it.
lady gal.
We both
Pink-
picked Honeycrisp.
They're
Pink
my
Pearl.
favorite.
I like ambrosia.
there's a few different kinds. There's this
It sounds snooty,
almost
too.
black.
What were we just
Ambrosia.
talking? Oh yeah, the twisty thing.
Ambrosia.
I was gonna ask Thomas because I was thinking of there was a Disney cartoon with Chip and Dale when I was a kid, and they were on an apple orchard, and they would chew the apple until it was gone, and then they would be like, apple core, Mortimer, who's your friend, and then whoever you pointed to, you'd throw the apple core at. And it was this Chip
which
and
is
Dale.
basically
It
arsenic
was Chip and
too.
Dale cartoon. I never understood what that was.
Me either. Me and my brother used to say it all the time after we
Yeah.
ate our fruit and threw it at each other.
Yeah. Yep. How many kids did that? I did. Oh, yeah. So the other tragic ending, I'll just throw this out there, was like they say he died 40, he was only 42, and he died let me quote it because it's awful. Alan Turing was 42 years of age, fat and flabby with enlarged breasts when he carefully injected cyanide into an apple, a red one, his favorite, and started eating it. The next day, he was found dead with half of the apple beside him. So,
He couldn't have liked it that much if you only got halfway into it.
Well,
And now we're not allowed to trick or treat anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Alan Turing. MI6.
The whole razor blade and apples thing too.
Yeah.
Like, remember that?
That was the first time I realized my parents and I were not working with the same deck of cards. Like, I must have been 5 or 6 years old to 8. And when that came out, that we weren't allowed to trick or treat in our neighborhood anymore because of that, I was like, who would ever eat an apple with a line bruise on it? Like, I won't even eat fruit with a bruise, much less a line in it. I was like,
especially when you're a kid,
Yeah, it was all just a way for us to not get homemade snacks from our neighbors anymore. Healthy snacks during Halloween, homemade stuff, and then it became like all get packaged candy so you can tell that it hasn't been opened.
Well, but then they did the whole Girl Scout cookie thing too. Like, was that even real? Because Girl Scout cookies too in the 80s, like all of a sudden, supposedly had needles and stuff in them. And I don't mean like hypodermic needles, but like needles. And so they recalled a whole bunch of Girl Scout cookies. But did any of you guys watch Night of the Demons back in the 80s?
No.
Oh my gosh. It was horrifying. It was up there with The Exorcist and maybe even more scary. I don't know.
I can't do that.
Anyway, at the end, like this guy who's an asshole to trick-or-treaters and was actually putting razor blades in the apples. He chokes on one and you see his throat get all slit open while he eats it. And it was kind of gory and awesome. It was a good ending.
I mean, you shouldn't be giving out fruit at Halloween. Like
Yeah.
it's healthier, but
You're an asshole if you're giving out
asking
fruit.
for problems. If you're there was always
Exactly.
like that one house too that would give out like bananas, or the worst one was like little mini Bibles on Halloween. It was like, are you daring me? Are we playing chicken right now?
Little mini Bibles. How dare you? Is this it, Abby?
Did you guys ever have actually find the house that was ever giving out cash? You always heard the lore of one of the houses having cash, and then you'd go around the neighborhood and nobody ever found it.
It was pretty like there's this one scene where this chick is sitting there, she's totally possessed, and she's got lipstick and she's like putting it on her face, like, am I doing a good job? And she's like drawing it all over her boobs and shoves it in her nipple. It's so freaking weird. It was so disturbing, I'm telling you. Like, because I think I watched it when I was like 12.
Wow.
Look at
I'm adding it to my list. This looks awesome.
You should watch it. It's good. I mean, it's obviously gonna be cheesy now because it's 80s, but it was pretty creepy at the time. Especially because I used to play with Ouija board, and they're doing it inside of a like groundskeeper's place in a cemetery on Halloween. So
it is so crazy because even the poster, I'm trying to figure out how to share it while I'm also messing with it. But the lady, her the poster, she has like a big huge thing of lipstick. And look at it's all over her face.
Yeah.
As you were saying it.
That's pretty.
Is that Gary Busey in the mirror?
It looks at first glance it looked like Trump for a second.
I love the Judas Priest.
I don't even remember anybody in it except the lipstick chick.
Pigman wearing a Judas Priest gun.
Oh yeah, the pig guy. Okay, yes, it's definitely that movie.
The pig guy. That is so frightening.
She was a football player. Oh, guess what I had on my list? The pig and the apple. Roasted pig.
Roast pig, yeah.
Doesn't that character?
Why is that? Just for flavor?
No, I guess because like when they roast the pig, it like they've got they've got sharp teeth. So I think like when they roast a pig, it like they make a gross grimace. Their face shrinks up, so they put the apple in there to keep it from like looking unappetizing. Because I guess a apple makes a whole pig look more appetizing.
Really? Is that why they did it?
That's what they say.
It does seem.
It's so good though.
Like it'd be a little better than a concaved face. But there's also the saying, putting lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Hannibal Lecter, the show?
Which
Hannibal
one?
Hannibal Lecter, the show.
The TV show.
It was great. And they have that character, the pig face character, and they did a lot of homunculus shit with pigs in that fucking show. And this guy, I guess one of the characters in there, had that pig face. He did like a face transplant. It was a fucking dope show. If you guys haven't watched that, you should watch it. It's fucking creepy, scary, gory. Not scary, but well played. Well done.
I'll watch all the Silence of the Lambs over and over again. Like all those movies, all three. I think there's 3 of them, like Hannibal, and I'll watch them all the time. I feel like I find new stuff in them every single time I watch them.
Everything we talk about, like the alchemy of like, types of leather and skins and the magic behind it. I mean, they're using human flesh to create violin strings. Like they go in depth with art and I guess culty shit. And they implement that in this Hannibal Lecter series. It's a masterpiece, really.
Well, I always think of Hannibal Lecter as like, what if Ed Gein was like had really fancy tastes and had a lot of money to get like whatever taste he wanted? Because Ed Gein was a real person that really existed and did that stuff, almost not even out of like visceral fun, but it was just like, yeah, that why aren't you doing this? See, of course
Yeah.
I'm doing this. Everyone, everyone should be doing this. Like, he didn't see the difference between it. But just imagine if he was like a high society version, like Jack the Ripper style.
It's so crazy that you say that. And in the show, he would cook these human meats, these delicacies, I guess, in his head, and he'd feed it to people. And people are eating it and they're just enjoying it. And they're like, I've never had a piece of beef like this. Oh my God. I guess it's like a heart of a cow or a liver of a whatever, but it's actually human meat. And just, I guess he gets joy in the reaction of how amazing this meat is, I guess, in his eyes. But he validates that with the reaction of everybody eating his food. So it's like he's a master chef with high quality human meat and just feeding it to people, and like, oh my God, it's great. It's a great show.
You know what tripped me out when I watched Hannibal is that he's where he got the fava beans and kidney was from a book called La Russe Gastronomique, and I actually have one of the actual early editions. They stopped printing it for a while.
Oh yeah.
So I had one that was, I have an actual copy of that book, so it tripped me out because I recognized it. Like it's a coveted book with chefs.
This scene with Ray Liotta, this is
Yeah.
the last one that sticks out in my
Yeah,
head.
disturbing.
Like, I've seen them
So
all
disturbing.
three, or the movie, like in the last month or two, but this scene sticks it sticks out to me and almost makes me laugh because he's doing in this scene, he's making him eat part
his own
of
brain.
his own
Yeah.
brain while he's still alive, and he's cutting out the parts that are like pain or receptors and telling her exactly what each part of the brain is while he's doing it. It's so crazy.
I feel
Oh
like
my
this is
God.
100% an MK Ultra experiment that happened in real life at some point, without question.
Oh, for
Absolutely.
sure. For sure.
I agree.
Oh, Thomas, I loved your stuff on MK Ultra, by the way.
Yeah, man.
That was freaking awesome.
Oh, thank you. Shout out to my MK Ultra pamphlet at mkultra.com and paranoidamerican.com. The entire history of MK Ultra from Project Paperclip all the way to modern day. You can get it now.
Yeah.
Seriously, Thomas, like you've got so much stuff on your website. Like
You don't
seriously,
even understand. I've got behind me, I've got like
crazy.
7,000 different prints of like random postcards and stickers. A brand new one.
Oh,
that's
cool.
By
sick.
Homunculus label. And if you read at the bottom really closely, it says, created by our all-natural alchemical semen, cow uterus, and horse shit.
That's awesome.
I love you guys, man. You guys are. I mean, I make this
So
for other
cool.
people like me, like you. So
Oh,
I think they have to start with the MK Ultra pamphlet to move on to the other pamphlets. Like, it's really a whole collection, but they have to start there.
I was talking with Juan the other day, and I guess I don't know if this was like a reality check, but we were covering this book called, man, it's a wordful, it's a mouthful. It's like the Illuminati formula to create a total mind control slave or something by Fritz Springmeier, and he gives credit to Cisco Wheeler. But it comes up, and I mentioned like, whenever someone comes to me and says, I'm just getting into conspiracy theories, what do you point me to? It's usually Behold a Pale Horse, or more specifically, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars within that book, Secret Teachings of All Ages as like the real like foot in the door, and then that book, the Fritz Springmeier book. And he was like, you're crazy. Why would you ever suggest, Fritz Springmeier to someone like brand new coming out? I mean, he goes hard from like page 3 on. It's just nonstop. Oh my God, what am I reading? And I guess my explanation was I wouldn't want to be deep into research for 10 plus years and then come across Springmeier's work. I'd rather know what all that stuff is up front, laugh at it, chuckle at it, and then do 10, 20 years of research and then come back around to it and be like, oh man, maybe this stuff is like, there's way more to this than I thought.
That's kind of even like Manly P. Hall Secret Teachings. I have to use it now in my life as a reference guide. Like, it doesn't matter how many times I read it, because every single time that I get a new layer, there's something in there that I'm like, oh, like it's each part that you get unlocks the whole other part. And
he wrote it as a reference guide too. He mentioned that a few times, that it wasn't really meant to be a book you sit down and read end to end. It becomes reference material. It's like a starting point. I look at it like a memory palace.
I was kind of surprised at how little about apples there was in it when when I went to actually do research. I was like, oh, this will be easy. I'll just pull out Manly Hall, Secret Teachings of All Ages. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, just flip through that.
Yeah, I'll just flip through that. I'll have a couple of things and I'll just come on and easy part cheesy, because you don't know how many shows that you can just do a couple quick things to Manly P. Hall and you're like genius, because you've just talked about like Rosicrucian and Kabbalah and Masonic, and people are like, whoa, she's so esoteric. But it really is just that book a lot of the times. But I was like, oh, apples, this will be a good place to start. And it really wasn't at all. I had to like rack more of my pop culture brain to think of anything. Like I was thinking of Apple Records, and I was going to do all this dig in it. And then I was like, I wonder if anyone just knows about Apple Records offhand, and like the Beatles and Apple Records. Yeah, I just really know about that. And I know that was a big chunk of the catalog that Michael Jackson bought.
We could do a whole Beatles night.
We should.
It'd
Because
be a
Beatles
whole
is awesome.
subject of
Good
itself.
talk.
Because
Yeah.
the whole Paul is dead thing, and I used to know the lore, and maybe as I talk it'll come back, but the reasoning why they used Apple, there was another Apple Records, I think, before in the States, and they had to get they had to buy them out or something for the name. I can't remember how it went, but what's his name, Martin, yeah, we could do a whole show about it. Anyway, I'll have to brush up on that.
Yeah, Beatles could be one. While we're here, October, for some of the plans that we have for going into October, we're gonna do monsters one night. I was thinking anything around that horror topic that you guys want to get into. I was thinking the Dead might be a good weekend to do, because we could go into all this lore about the Dead. Because even when people talk about Book of the Dead, my new question for them is always Egyptian or Tibetan. And no one ever answers me back, because I feel like they're like, I don't know, I've just been saying Book of the Dead like you've been saying Manly P. Hall, Secret Teachings of All Ages, and no one's called me on it.
Maybe they're talking about the Handbook of Recently Deceased, and it's a Beatles thing.
I know, that's what.
Right.
So the Dead, and I also think somewhere it would be cool, even when Thomas is getting closer to when he wants to do some, if we did adrenochrome, but that could even be in later, because I would like to do adrenochrome separate from melanin and then virgin's blood. But virgin's blood seems like it can come up a lot in the vampire talk. So I don't know if vampires need to be its whole separate thing, because monsters in general might be too broad a topic, but we can talk about it more going forward. Or if the audience has any suggestions, they can let us know.
Let us know.
A chance to talk like Boris Karloff for the evening.
Do you guys know what you're being for Halloween this year? Do you guys have anything set?
Not
I don't
yet.
do shit. I don't do anything on Halloween, so
I don't either, but I like
What
dressing
day
up
is
for
it?
fun.
What day is it this year? It's Saturday,
October 31st.
and so we'll be on.
Sorry, I'm a smart ass.
Dick. If I had a button, I'd have it, and it'd be like, "What a dick." What a dick. You guys just said, oh, there's a Friday the 13th this month as well, I think.
Ooh,
I might
There
be
is.
wrong.
Yep.
cool.
Okay. That
Awesome.
would be something.
Awesome.
I've even reached out to Michelle from Healing Homes, because she's talked all about Manson stuff. Like we could do a serial killers or something for this time. If you guys are into it for Friday the 13th, we could do like
Down.
killers instead of just serial killers, because then we can talk about psycho killers.
We gotta talk Templar too. Like you can't talk Friday the 13th without Templars.
Hell yeah.
I love it. So
Yeah.
we should just do a Friday the 13th. That'll just be an episode, and Michelle from Healing Homes is going to come on and hang out with us.
They're the
Right
first
on.
version of
Stoked.
Brokeback Mountain. 2 guys, 1 horse.
I never heard that before.
It just came to my head.
That was clever.
That's the Templar symbol, right?
Yeah.
2 guys, 1 horse.
All right, man.
Oh, those silly Templars.
I know. I have to see what's next for my Apple category.
Bringing it back to the whole software thing, or technology of it all, the Apple thing. In Greek, there's also a golden apple called the apple of discord. So that's kind of interesting. It started the Trojan War.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about this.
So, Eris, E-R-I-S, she's a goddess. She wasn't invited to this wedding. And so she gives as a wedding gift, she's pissed off, she gives a golden apple. And on the apple it says, give it to the goddess who you think is the most beautiful. So it's like, I think it's a mortal king. So he's got Hera, who's like, say it's me. Say I'm the most beautiful, and I will give you. She offers him something, and then it was Aphrodite and Athena. Athena offers him like wisdom or money, and Aphrodite offers him any woman that he wants to marry, like a beautiful woman. And so he picks Aphrodite. He gives her the golden apple, and all the other goddesses are pissed. So it basically, like, she didn't get invited because they thought she would ruin the wedding. Eris would ruin the wedding, but she ruined the wedding anyway, and then started the Trojan War. Somehow it started the war.
It was like a real.
Oh, because the woman was already married. So Aphrodite, like the woman was already married, and so that he was promised too with the golden apple. So it started the war.
Huh. I did not know any of that. I feel like there's so much history stuff that I don't know. Even the Trojan War, like the Trojan horse, like I get it, but I don't know the details of it.
It was an inside job.
The Trojan War wasn't an inside job.
Never.
Have
Isn't
you?
what they all?
You brought up. I don't know if you guys are nerds. Like, have you guys seen True Blood?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I read the
Parts of
books.
it.
Okay, when you brought up Dionysus, anytime anyone brings up Dionysus, I always think of Marianne from True Blood. She's like a Maenad and her eyes turn black and she has these sex orgies. And she really is like the highlight villain of this show. But I think everybody needs to watch True Blood. It has
she loves all
so
the chaos.
the amount of lore though from different were animals to shapeshifters, that being different, to fays, to vampires, to the human blood, to the everything. I just think it's such, for philosophies of things that I think actually go on, I think it's so good. And so Marianne, this like ancient goddess that comes along and she like almost looshes this town with their sexual energy. But I think it's crazy that she's Dionysus and this Maenad like bull character, and all their eyes turn like onyx black. So if you haven't seen it, you guys should check out True Blood. Not to get so far away from, I was like, oh, Dionysus, why is that on my page? Why did I pull up Dionysus? Oh yeah, somebody brought it up earlier. Another thing you guys were talking about with the apple is if you cut it like short ways, it has that star in it. And if you cut it long ways, it kind of gets that Virgin Mary, where it has that Vesica Pisces look to it, where it also kind of looks like a Taurus field. And so it is a symbolism of so much other things. Maybe if it's not thought of so, no, kind of in black and white. I was looking at these pictures of the Taurus field and I'm like, that's an apple.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure is.
And
Yeah,
it's also the Vesica Pisces.
It's also that stupid Apple subwoofer they came out with.
It is. Oh my
Mhm.
God.
Is that like a body praying in the center?
It looks like that's what they're up to.
Okay.
in this
I had
random-
one of those subwoofers, those clear clear plastic
Yeah,
subwoofers
that's
floating around.
exactly
I think
right.
I repaired one time.
Subwoofer. Apple. That's so clever. How far do you feel like they planned that company?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like it was written into, like, way back when they wrote the Bible, they were like, and when we finally come out with the computers, we'll call the company Apple. It's perfect.
Didn't
Yeah.
they list it for $666 too when it
Yep.
came out?
Uh-huh.
First,
The
it was
first Macintosh.
Macintosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Apple IIe. That's the one everybody had.
Wow, so clever. All this stuff is such clever marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I always wondered, maybe it was just me, but it always sounded like apple to eat, like apple to eat.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it does.
And it's with Steve Jobs and Apple. Have you guys heard the theory that he was the creator of Bitcoin?
I heard Putin is the creator of Bitcoin.
I mean, I've heard so many things from
heard the
Jack Ma
CIA.
to CIA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard so many things. But I heard this
Heard of
idea
Bigfoot, yeah.
that like Steve Jobs was the creator of Bitcoin. And then I've also heard the theory of like Steve Jobs being this kind of time traveler and how he has this vault of stuff still ready to release, almost like Tupac, which we'll go back around to that. Like, here's all these records and stuff like in my Machiavelli that I have to release after my death date and no sooner because I want this company to continue to make money after I die instead of just like releasing it all at one pop. And I think it's crazy that Ashton Kutcher played Steve Jobs in a movie because I also think he's playing Fetterman. Okay, go.
Well, real quick
Whoa.
too, I always thought it was ironic that Steve Jobs also died from an apple, right? Because he became like a fruitarian and was eating nothing but fruit.
Fruit.
And that was like the
Huh.
opposite thing that his doctors were telling him. So he almost literally died from eating apples.
That's
Huh.
crazy.
Wow.
You ever heard that before? Like he was
No.
it was almost like a Christian Science approach where it's like, no, just the fruit of the land will heal me eventually. I don't need all these medications and treatments that I can clearly afford because I've got like all the money on the planet. I'm just gonna keep eating fruit and bananas. And it turns out it didn't work the same way that Christian Science sometimes doesn't work.
I used to go to Christian Science Church.
Maybe the apple has something to do with Judaism and, Rosh Hashanah and apples and honey. And it's such a big symbol for Jewish people, the apple. And it's like a purity thing, fertility, love. I don't know. And then you have the villains in the apple and all these, you have villains eating an apple in scenes. Just like, why are they eating an apple out of all things, There's probably like 50 out there that you can find of villains eating an apple.
It represents immortality, and obviously wisdom.
Yeah.
But it also represents greed and stuff too in a lot of the myths. So it's like, I don't know, it just kind of goes all over the place.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing because I totally remember that too. Like watching Nick at Night as a kid, like old episodes of Lassie and Dennis the Menace and just like all those, classic. Whenever like some ruffian would come off of like a train, they'd be like leaning on a fence somewhere and then they'd have a switchblade and they'd be like, polishing the apple and skinning the apple. And why is it that like the apple is such an intimidating thing to skin in front of someone? Like an orange wouldn't have the same effect. There's almost
For
no other
real.
fruit that would have that same feel, but someone skinning an apple with a knife, you're like, oh, he's going to kidnap somebody.
Because the skin is so thin and you have to be so precise in how you cut the skin off the apple. So it's like, ooh, that mother
It's
got
satisfying
fucking
cutting
knife
an
skills.
apple in your hand like that, though. I don't know. Like, there is something satisfying about it.
I feel like if I mean, in life, in college, oddly enough, in groups like this, I would go to philosophy groups and instead of smoking cigarettes all night, because sometimes you would do that and it was less, like there was less judgment on the
I've
smoking
got
of the
clothes.
cigarettes all night.
I'm fancier.
Yeah, like so eventually after you were like, oh, I don't want a sore throat every night. So I would bring like 4 apples and I have a specific knife. And so I would just peel the apple, but my weird OCD was to keep it all in one thing without breaking the spiral. And then this is so butch, but it also feels like very femme, like it could be very witchy. I liked cutting the apple off in thin slices and eating it off my knife, but it reminded me of my pappy. It reminded me of my grandfather would do that while he would chat with me. And so it was like such an odd.
Can I share something with
An
you?
apple's so much better when you cut it, and instead of like biting into it, it's so much better when you cut it into slices.
Okay, this movie is about a recovery program for unclaimed patients to create identities during a pandemic that causes amnesia. Apples, the film made in Greece. Yeah, just wanted to share that.
The film made in Greece, of course.
During the pandemic of 2020 came out. So it was made before the pandemic, and it's about a pandemic.
Okay, I want you guys to be open-minded here because I'm going to make you jump through 2 pictures. And I know this is silly ahead of time, but maybe it's not that silly. Okay, this is the new John Fetterman that they're telling us is John Fetterman in places. And,
I can see it.
you know, this is...
I can see it.
This is the dude. Let me see like how I can get a really
Ashton Kutcher. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm gonna pull up Ashton Kutcher now, the same dude that we totally saw on TV just a little bit ago, and he was like crying because him and Mila Kunis are so out of touch with things. Look at that's John Fetterman.
Oh my God, that's John Fetterman.
Up with his chin.
Wow.
That's
Holy
the
crap.
actor playing the
It
dude
is.
as John Fetterman now. It's not the same John Fetterman that we first started with, and they eventually made him characters of himself because that's how I think they do it. They give you like 2 or 3 things that you only start to remember him by. Sweatshirt, bald, tattoo on his arm. Sweatshirt, bald, tattoo on his arm. So then when they put the mask on the actor, you only notice the sweatshirt, bald, tattoo on their arm. Like it's like I call it the Elvis. We give him sideburns, silver glasses, white suit. That's why everyone thinks Elvis is alive everywhere, because anyone they see with sideburns, glasses, white suit, they're like, it's Elvis. That's how broken we become. It's like Britney. If we make this girl spiral, blonde hair, half her clothes on, spiral, blonde hair, half her clothes on, spiral, blonde hair, half her clothes on. Any blonde bimbo can be Britney. It's like, so John Fetterman is Ashton Kutcher.
You know what's interesting? I'm noticing a trend of these stars, like not dressing up and looking all shitty on camera, and like it's totally changed.
Well, look at the
And I feel
background
like
too. It's
they're
like an old
doing
fence.
it-
They probably paid like $50,000 to have that fence fabricated for that photo shoot.
Yeah, they're
to
doing
look
this.
at home. They had marketers tell him like, you'll look really down to earth.
Oh, we're gonna have
Yeah.
to weather that board
You'll
to
be
the right
relatable.
of Ashton. It's a little bit too, too pristine. Someone get in here with the airbrush.
To look like normal. Oh, poor me. We're just like you. We're not rich. We're just, look at us.
We're gonna have
It's
to do this photo shoot tomorrow when Ashton actually has more of a beard, so it looks like you guys are disheveled.
people, the earlobes are coming unattached. Get the glue.
Let's
Oh,
not talk
God.
about how Mila
is Fetterman.
Kunis was a groomed child
Yeah.
by Ashton Kutcher.
Yep.
And now we see all of these people come out from the Church of Scientology, Ashton and the homeboy Hyde, whatever that, dude's name is. And the one guy who played in all the Spider-Man, Eric Northman, he's like, I'm not doing, or is that his name? Eric, what's the guy's name from 70s
Eric
Show?
Norton, you're still in True Blood land.
I know. I was like, wrong,
Is that
Eric. I was all Nordic.
Is it Tobey
Like
Maguire,
Spider-
isn't it?
Yeah, no.
Oh, Toby.
That was
Don't
the
do
other
that to
Spider-Man.
me. Don't do that to me. Yeah, whatever the others do, I think he's a villain in Spider-Man though. But that dude, he wouldn't sign all of them wrote
Frank-
letters for Hyde being like, he's such a good dude. He would never do that.
Right. James Franco.
And he's
James Franco.
and he's married to like Bijou
Gopher, there it
Phillips,
is.
that
Well, I mean, that's
other dude.
his actor name.
Yeah, whatever. Meh. But Ashton Kutcher and Mila.
They don't look happy.
No. And he was married
Not
to
a happy
Demi.
picture.
And you could say Bruce Willis signed up to have his likeness be like the first in CGI. They made all this big deal to it. And then he comes out
Damn,
that he has some like Alzheimer's, like what's like some heavy form of fast progressing Alzheimer's, and that CGI thing is all fake. And I'm like, nah, dog. They did some shit to Bruce Willis.
Well, it was almost like they finished all the scans and they were like, we can't let Bruce become better than the scans. Like the scans have to be the superior version of Bruce. So, that's a pretty easy equation to solve. Inject a little cyanide in his apple, leave it in the green room, bingo bango.
I know.
Cyanide again.
And look at all the royalty. They all had tasters, even for fruit.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
What else? What else you got on apples? You want to talk about Gwyneth Paltrow? Since we're in the Hollywood lane for a minute.
What does this have to do with Apple?
Because she named her daughter Apple. Her and Chris Martin from Coldplay named their daughter Apple.
Really?
Yeah. And she's Hollywood legacy family. Her dad was like a producer director, and he was a really big deal. And her mom's Blythe Danner. The one crazy thing, Gordy, when I was looking up Gwyneth Paltrow, is her cousin is Gabby Gifford.
No shit. I forgot. I may have known that.
And Gabby Gifford is like this House of Representatives person that was in Arizona, and she got like assassination attempt, and like I think she was shot in the head.
She was shot in the head and left kind of. I don't know if she's exactly invalid, but she's pretty messed up.
I think she was a Democratic House of Representatives.
House of Representative, yeah. I met her.
That was after she got shot, you mean?
In a mass, she was involved in a mass shooting.
Mm-hmm. It happened on Oracle and McGee at a safe in front of a Safeway here in Tucson.
She's from Tucson too.
She's from Tucson. Yeah, I met her at one of those jobs I did, and she was full of shit. I couldn't take it seriously. I guess it kind of showed. So I didn't make friends. I was like, she's full of shit. But anyway, she is married to the astronaut guy, who is now our senator or representative. He was the He was a what's his name?
Fuck him.
Fuck him. Fuck him. He benefited off of companies leaving, and maybe I should hold off on saying and stuff like that. Well,
yeah, that'll be a show later on when we just go into Arizona.
Oh yeah, let's just do. Oh, dude, ooh, what a dirty politics, Arizona. What do you have going on, Arizona? There are moves happening.
Gwyneth Paltrow's other kid's name's Moses, so she is Apple and Moses.
It's Jewish or Rosh Hashanah stuff. I'm telling you.
Well, her father was Jewish.
Does she wear the red string around her wrist?
I'm sure she's a Kabbalah girl.
Kabbalah.
I'm sure. And the Gabby Gifford thing. I can't believe this was a weird one for me. How old do you think Apple is now? Chris Martin and Gwyneth Paltrow's daughter.
20.
She is. She's 19.
I know, because I was like, she had Apple around the same time I had Pandora. So
look who's back. Oh shit, he's gone. Oh, he's still here. Wait, here. Come here, baby.
Guess
There
who's
he is.
back?
Back again. Every time I think about dyeing my hair blonde, I always think it's too short, and like when I want to bleach it out again, and I always think I'm gonna have to guess who's back
Back
again because
again.
I always think I'm gonna look like Slim Shady.
Mhm.
What about Fiona Apple? Remember her?
Baby. Come here.
I listened to her today.
I did too.
Did you really?
I can't listen to her.
I've been a bad, bad girl. I've been careless with a delicate man. I hope that doesn't get us pulled off. 'cause it
I
was
know
so
you.
close.
That was really good.
Copyright infringement. Yeah.
I listened to that. I listened to Apple Tree by Erykah Badu.
Oh, it's so cool.
And my favorite song to listen to on mushrooms, Apple Juice Kissin' by Delight. If you haven't, I suggest you guys do it.
That's a great song.
I did
Yeah.
listen to Bonita
Praying
Applebum
Mantis on the
today just
timeline.
because it had apple in the name.
Bonita Applebum, that's a good one.
When I trip sometimes, I'll put on the Lizard Tripping on Acid just to crack up. Have you ever watched that?
No.
Not my chin, not my problem. Oh
Oh,
my
man,
God,
that's-
it's so funny. It's so great. Whenever you have time, go watch it. It's Lizard Tripping on Acid Simulation.
Don't leave stream right now to go watch it, but after
no,
the
no.
show.
No, after the show.
And something else I should say, so I don't forget in the moment. If you are around on Friday nights, Emily Moyer is doing a conspiracy like cocktail hour around 6:00 her time. So find out her channel, and I'll try to post it somewhere so you guys can find it,
That
and
sounds
so you
fun.
can start there and kind of if you want to after party, be here.
That's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Seems
I
like
like
kind
that.
of a perfect gig.
Look at this.
I like that.
And since you're showing a praying mantis, and I don't know why it reminds me of it in this moment, but because somebody asked about it earlier in chat, somebody asked about my Maria, and she always puts praying mantis on the timeline when somebody shows a praying mantis. So we are actually working on something right now. We're gonna do a show on Vril, and I'm gonna harass her. I'm tired of like waiting for perfection for her to do it. But we're gonna geek out on the Real Housewives, and I'm just gonna make her like Rorschach test the women of the Real Housewives because we know so much weird dirt on these ladies that I feel like if we keep trying to plan it and write it all down, it's gonna make us crazy. So instead, I'm just gonna show her a picture and let her go off.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and Vanderpump Rule, and she has a lot of stuff coming out, and you can follow her everywhere. So that is for you, Israel Adams.
Well, since you brought up Vril, I've got something. I'm going
Do
to
it.
share my screen. Okay.
You did say the Vril Housewives, right? Is that what I heard?
The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Whoops, wrong one. This one.
What a trip.
Can you see that?
I wish I could figure out just how to make each person's screen bigger. So like when Gordy was showing the
This one.
thing, I could just blow up Gordy.
Okay.
I'll work on that next. Let's see if this works.
So apple cider vinegar. I don't know if you guys have heard
Oh,
about
yeah.
this. I mean, it's a
I
great
do it.
cure-all, and I know for a fact it does lower blood sugar and stuff,
Mhm.
but it does get nematodes in it, and it like they'll be visible worms. So it's kind of creepy.
I don't
like-
drink it.
I'm not into apple cider vinegar anymore because of it. I'm like,
Ooh.
what? And,
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Those look like the
Oh,
worms on my
it's
porch.
on vinegar
Yeah,
eels. Vinegar
parasites.
eels. And they're also, if you're a kombucha fan, they're in kombucha as well a lot of the times. Like your SCOBY will get it.
Oh my
So-
gosh. Do you think those worms could hurt your spleen?
They say that they're harmless, but
Okay,
I'm just like,
because the amount of kombucha that
So
I have drank
gross.
in a lifetime is more than any human should drink.
after I saw that, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not doing the mother apple cider vinegar anymore. Like I'll use vinegar, but it's gonna be the pasteurized shit.
Best
Sorry.
thing to drink is tea. Like literally just tea. Get some like non-GMO good tea and just drink tea.
Oh, look, Gordy, I figured it out. So you
Yeah.
can.
There it is. She.
I forget I have to talk into this thing.
So dumb question from a city folk. How do you tell it's a he versus a she?
Yeah, good question.
The females are bigger.
But do you have a male next to it? Like, how do you know it's just not a?
They're the males are usually a little brown also. But I think it
seems like you're making a whole lot of assumptions based on just the visual representation of this poor creature.
I've also had time with like.
What's its pronoun, Gordy?
It.
A praying womanness or a praying mantis?
Right.
Why do they chop their lovers or mates' heads off?
Because they're jealous bitches.
It's just odd. It's
Like,
just,
what
do you
if
think they ever know? Do you think any of them ever know what they're about to get into? Like, did they see it happen
Interesting.
over on that leaf over there? And has there ever been a mantis like, yeah, I'm just gonna like, hang out. I'm not doing that. Or do you think it's always a surprise? Like, what the hell?
What?
or maybe they know and they just do it because it's part of their
They do it anyway.
knowing, like self-sacrifice for the greater good. Maybe.
like, should we make a gay pride flag for the mantis? Like, if that's the one thing we're like, I'm not for gay pride parades, but if there was a bunch of
She's
mantis
pretty.
in the street,
he.
I'm for them. Like, I back their cause. They're like, I'm just gonna hang out over here with Larry. And they're like, why? What's your problem? All these ladies. And they're like, yeah, I've seen what happens one too many times. Or if it just doesn't matter, they're like, you know what? What about it? Like, the female mantis is so worth it.
She's
Yeah.
got the golden pussy.
Right.
She's the golden
Yeah, I don't
apple.
know.
She's
You're
the
gonna
golden
do it
apple.
anyway, man. You're going in.
It's just like
Like
they'll
his
all
buddies
kill
are
you,
gonna
though,
be
right?
on. Don't do it,
We all
man.
try.
It's not worth it. She'll eat your head off, man.
The praying mantis has a
gonna
lesbian
be
best
worth it.
friend that's like, don't do it.
So hot. Have you seen her? She's all green and shit. It's
I
awesome.
It's
almost
like
got
an
a praying
80s
mantis
movie.
tattoo, and I'm so
A
glad I
lesbian
didn't
best
because I already
friend who
have the
plays
Black
drums.
Widow. That would be really bad.
Some kind of wonderful, but it's praying mantis.
How do you think the human world would be
Little wig on
different if we followed the same rules?
Oops.
I don't
Sorry.
know. You tell me. I don't know. I have no idea. That's a good question. Imagine or us, the female species, just going ahead and doing that, and men allowing us to do that to them, like chopping their heads off.
Well, then think of this. Think of how many more, like, if it was a body count of just like
It's a real body count.
a real body count. Think of how, like, I really am friend of man, because think of how few heads I'd have.
Whoa.
And also, how many people would make the ultimate sacrifice to really have a kid? Like,
Right.
it would sort out the people that are selfish and just want to vicariously live through
Yeah.
them from people that would like legitimately give their life for their kid. Because I mean, I understand maybe incorrectly, but that's the reason why the mantis does it, is that the male automatically provides all these nutrients, and now the female doesn't have to go out and like do a bunch of work. Like it's all there.
Right.
So that's like a segment of it, right? But we don't have any version of that.
No, I think there's other animals too, where like it's almost a sacrifice that the man gives,
Penguins.
because the woman eating it provides all the nutrients and everything that she's going to need for the whole gestation and, by eating it. So it's like it becomes the thing that produces all the kids and the nutrients afterward.
It goes back into that whole epigenetic stuff you guys were talking about last week. Like absorbing the traits.
Oh, yeah.
Though I guess like they'd had sexual reproduction, so they would already do that. But
That's kind of because the Black Widow does that too, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have a bunch of those too.
Is there mammals that do that? They just off. Because I know there's a lot of bird species and like a lot of mammals. Like I was driving by a park and there's these like certain kind of like storks and stuff in Florida that they breed for life. And so anytime I see a solo one, I'm always like, oh, or I hope always like, oh, I hope it's single. Like I hope it's like single and ready to mingle, and it's not like it's love of its life got
What
hit
if
by
it's
a
like an
car.
abusive dick though?
I know. Then they're
Do
there
you think
forever.
You're
that
freaking
even
right.
exists in the
Right.
animal world?
Yeah, where like he just pushes her into traffic, and she's like, "What? I'm just trying to pig for worms."
Yeah,
Or
I've
vice
watched Blue
versa.
Jays. I think that is a thing. Blue Jays are freaking nuts. Have you ever watched them like fight?
No.
They're
But
freaking wild.
this is the thing with Blue Jays. If you ever watch them fuck, it looks so similar.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you'll be like, "Oh, that Blue Jay's that Blue Jay is being so mean to that other Blue Jay. Oh, it's leaving it alone. Now they're both cleaning itself, and it all just happens so fast, and you don't even notice it." I know. I had a bougainvillea next to like the spot I like to sit in my front yard during the fall, and so there's a blue jay nest, but they're so pissed that from my front door going in and out. I don't know why they put their nest there. It's like if we decide to use the
That's funny.
for 2 days or don't leave our house, they're like, "Oh, this is a perfect spot for a nest because it's all thorns, so cats can't get
Yeah.
them in there." And then I come out my front door and they're like, "Fuck this bitch," and so then they have to move their nest somewhere else, and then they're all pissed, and
Uh-huh.
then
And they're
'cause they
loud.
so. Anyways, not to get all to the Blue Jays from the red or green apples. Do you think the red or green apple came first?
The
Green.
golden apple.
It'd have to be the green apple, no?
Yeah.
Because wouldn't
Green.
don't all red apples start as green apples anyways?
But do all green
Ooh,
apples all turn
smart.
red?
I
No.
don't think so. Like a Granny Smith apple, right?
I
That
love
one
Granny
doesn't turn
Smith.
red, or did they just pick them early?
I don't know.
You can tell I'm a city folk.
Don't they
I
ripen?
don't think they turn red.
They don't turn red because as you pull them, they'll ripen, and as they ripen, they'll change color and darken.
Right, yeah, and they stays
Yeah.
green.
Uh-huh.
Check these out. These trees are like they're 150 years old. This was like my favorite trail to go hike in Reading, but this is like an app. These trees are all tagged because they're so old. But look how it's hollow. Like
Wow.
they will grow like
You can
hundreds.
zoom into it, Abby. Like you can like on your mouse or on your screen. Yeah.
Oh, it's like delayed.
No
So
worries.
No.
I can't see what you guys. Okay, there we go. Yeah,
But they're like hollow down the
yeah, they're
Right.
all hot. They're it's just the bark, and I've seen them like they'll have like hundreds of apples on them, but they have these like these apples. Hold on, I don't know how to switch it back to
those are kind of actual golden apples. They
yeah,
look like
golden
pears.
apples. They're called winter banana. But I at one point had like what's the word like saved some of these seeds and stuff because I was like these are ancient trees and actually that car fire that happened in Reading a couple years back. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was huge. It was big to me even though I was here in Oklahoma because it was like it ransacked the whole neighborhood and everything that I used to live in. And that was right next to where the fire started, but some of the trees survived, so it was pretty cool. But then it like made me wonder too because there's like bleeding hearts that grew everywhere around on those trails, and they're fire retardant. I didn't know that. So
Oh, I didn't know that either. They're one of my favorite flowers. And I
Yeah.
didn't know there was so many variety of them.
I thought
just
they were
thought there was-
peas. Like this is why I remember this. I thought they were peas, so I actually like ate one of the pods, which was stupid. I got sick as fuck because they're really highly toxic. But I figured it out.
Did you trip or like get a pain in your stomach?
Pain in my stomach.
I don't
Like
know.
food poisoning,
Mm-hmm.
Have you
like
guys ever?
arsenic on an apple.
Mhm.
Yep.
I always thought that was fascinating that if you were like really intent, anyone that wanted to poison someone could just buy a bunch of apples and just take all the seeds and like grind them and turn them into a paste, and you basically got the ingredients to kill somebody.
For arsenic. Yeah.
And they say that's why you shouldn't give your dog apples. Like a lot of people will feed their dogs apples, and it's not so much the fruit
They
of the
love 'em.
apple, but it can kill them because of the
Mhm.
seeds of the
Yep,
apple.
that's why I stopped giving my dog Newports too.
So
He's such a dick now.
talking about
Yeah.
apples. I don't know.
He's at his 12-step meeting, and he's the only one without cigarettes.
It's all,
Sorry,
You guys
go on, Layla.
remember in school, during lunch, did you guys have the experience of eating these particular apples? Because in New York, everybody knows the school lunch apples and how great they are and how addicting they were. So it brings the topic of like, did they put something in our apples that were just so good? Like
I
you
think
don't
they're just good. I mean, I just love New York apples so much. Bro, let's talk about New York
Dude, like
corn too.
candy.
I know it's apples, but
Uh-huh.
like Cheney, like if you've never had
I've-
corn from the state of New York and it's only been from Florida, or tomatoes too, like you haven't lived.
Had
Oh, yeah.
tomatoes.
It like everything here is like on the south basically. It just tastes like water with the flavor of the thing that you're eating, right?
Mhm.
But in New York, I always just remember the apples tasting like a punch in the face of apple. Like there's no undeniable like corn. I mean, even though I'm a city folk now, I actually kind of grew up on a farm, and like our neighbors, some of my parents' old friends, we would just go out into the cornfield and just pick an ear of corn fresh off the field and just bite into it. Like no
Mhm.
cooking, no washing, nothing. And it was almost like, why would you wash it? Like it's got everything you need, all the nutrients. Like you're gonna wash all that away? That's crazy. Look how good it tastes. And I
Yeah.
remember it was like candy. Like bite into a piece of corn, it was just as good as an apple.
Abby, are you judging New Yorkers with their corn flavor right now?
No, no. I actually,
Like an Okie is sitting there like, are these New Yorkers really telling me about their
I'm
bomb
telling you.
corn?
y'all ought to try the food here. All right,
I'm
but no.
telling
No,
There's-
but I was actually thinking too, Thomas needs to get out of Orlando
Yeah. Well, actually, I just went to Boston recently.
Yeah.
because all like
Boston.
my vegetable stand right here, my fruit and vegetable stand, like my favorite, and it's all local stuff. Most of the
They
time.
say
And
that. I mean,
no,
I
we
don't
have
know
3
how much I
growing
believe 'em.
seasons. I don't get my produce from I try to avoid getting it from like Publix or anything like that. I get it from a place where I know the farms that they're coming from. Like they kind of get everything. They're probably like second, and I know the vegetable stand that gets everything after the supermarkets where it's not, but it says where it's from, like if it's Indian or India limes or whatever weird
Well, I've been to the
citrus.
farmers market a few times in Orlando, and I've seen them taking the stickers off the fruit that said like from Brazil or whatever, and then putting on, Orange County or something silly.
See, that's why I'm like, you got to get out of Orlando because
Yeah.
there's like strawberry farms right down the road, and there's like beef farms right down the road, and there's
Yeah, but
like
I can go to Publix and get a bag of apples that have Mickey and Ninja Turtles on it. Like
You can get
they don't
grapples
have that where you're
too.
talking about.
I swear to you, every time I eat those little oranges with Mickey on them, I think like I'm just poisoning myself. But they're good. It's nice that there's no seeds in them, but I'm also like they might as well be injected with red 40.
You won't get
Yeah.
scurvy though. That's the good part.
Did you ever do like the farm stands and
Keeps
stuff
the
in
scary.
Oregon, Cheney?
Huh?
Like when you lived in Oregon, did you ever do any of like the farm stands there?
Yes.
They had the
Different.
best produce. It was
Yeah,
so good.
Orchard fruit is like next level in
I
Oregon.
never liked melons until I moved to Oregon, and all of a sudden it was like the smell is just so intensely good, and then just the best fruit stands and stuff. And it was like they would literally just like pick it and put it on a table, and you drive by and you just put your money in a box and grab it.
Yeah, our apples here, like you're not going to get Florida apples. You're not going to get Florida grapes. Like if you eat a Florida grape, you might as well eat a sugar cube. It is the grossest. Don't ever drink Florida wine. If they're like, this came from a Florida vineyard,
Don't drink Florida
Caca.
water.
don't drink Florida water unless somebody
Seriously.
has their own well. Otherwise, don't touch that shit.
I learned that the hard way.
Like drinking eggs, rotten eggs.
Oh, you guys have a lot of sulfur?
Oh yeah.
That's typical around these parts too.
It's like if it's soft or hard. We have soft or hard water in Florida.
So my algorithm also showed me that you should be shopping at Indian shops because in India and the people of India don't want any of these pesticides, none of these chemicals near them whatsoever. So the algorithm that's going around is find your local Indian shop, and if they had vegetables, buy vegetables from them. And yeah, usually it's like good stuff, pure stuff. That's what I'm being told on the algorithm. So I'm not sure, but I'll find me an Indian
That's what your
shop here.
algorithm saying this week.
Yeah.
This is my idea.
Part of it.
I'm like, we can just find whatever oil or stone or like seed or whatever. We buy it all up and then we push in TikTok algorithm how it's the new healthy thing.
B17, that is one of them.
Mhm.
Is that from the
Apricot seed.
Yeah,
Hey,
apricot.
Cheney,
Supposed to cure cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gordy.
can I see if I can do a mantis cam on my?
The mantis cam. You should just set it up. Okay, let's see. Let me see. Hold on. I feel like.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yes.
Mantis looks just like Gordy.
What dog do you self, Gordy?
Oh, it's so
Dog do you
cute.
mantis self?
when you just have that praying mantis on you, and like I'm Florida girl in a
dancing.
lot of ways, but I don't want that on me. Like I'm the Temple of Doom. Like if I stuck my hand in something and turned it around and pulled it and the praying mantis was on my hand.
See, I could do a mantis.
What a
I
trip,
can't do
look at that.
worms though. Worms gross me out. Like I won't
She's
bait my own hook
off.
with a worm if I'm fishing. I'd rather do hand fishing than touch a worm.
It's all right. That was fun.
Hand fishing than touch a worm, even
Yes.
the noodling thing.
I would rather noodle than touch a
Do it.
worm.
Okay. Now I'm hearing myself twice.
Up, you're
Do
gonna.
all those mantises have those long? What are those worms again? What are they called?
The what?
Those worms or parasites that they pull out of the mantis.
Oh,
usually.
yeah.
Do every single one that exists on this planet have one of those things?
No.
inside of
It's like
them?
an infection.
No.
That's like not. It's
Really?
like having tapeworm or something.
Oh, okay. I'm like, that's just odd.
It's like your dogs and cats.
That whole thing coming out of that little being, just weird.
They always put the worm in the apple in a lot of drawings.
They do.
Right. It was in
Worm.
the,
So yeah, the
Dragon.
worm.
It's in tequila.
Well,
that's what the Richard Scarry thing. In
Abby
the
was-
Richard Scarry books,
or-
it's a worm.
Layla
lives in the
was
apple.
has brought up before, like the word worm means dragon, and so if we talk about the serpent and the apple again, the serpent and the dragon always mix, and there's some people that theorize that there's only two bloodlines, the serpent and the dragon, and so I just think it's crazy that even something like for school, you were talking about these delicious apples you get from school, and there's always this worm coming out of an apple, but we also always give our teachers an apple. And so the pupil gives the teacher the apple, and the apple of my eye was originally the saying for your pupil.
Mm.
And so back in like ancient times, the teacher of the village, all the people whose kids they taught, the families actually took care of the teacher. So they would provide fruit baskets and meat and housing and linens and whatever they had to find from each of their families. And so when it carried over to America, the apple that they gave the teacher was still a representation of that carrying on to a fine teacher. It would be like a way that the 2 cents was given to a server, like back in the day. your server or your waitress, or they made a reasonable wage, and somebody just gave them 2 pennies because they gave that next level service. So it was just a tip. It was never meant to be their wage. So in the same way, they kind of did that to teachers, where they're like, here's this apple. It's no longer meant to be a wage because the state or the wherever provides the wage for the teacher now, but you're doing such an excellent job. We still want to show you that we recognize you in that way. So here's an apple.
The whole apple of my eye thing. Every time I hear Roger Rabbit, do you guys know what line I'm talking about? Where he's like, she's the apple of my eye, the cream in my coffee.
Yes. I love Roger Rabbit.
Me too.
Layla, the wormhole thing is bomb.
Yeah.
Like, because the wormhole in the apple again. And why do they call it wormhole unless it's actually a dragon hole? And then we always talk about portals. So what if the dragons all went somewhere? They didn't die. They just went through a wormhole.
Isn't another word for what we are monster?
In the Black Laws Dictionary,
Yeah.
human is monster.
That's why you need the lawyer, right? Because the lawyer is not the monster. It's someone without a law degree that's technically the monster.
Speaking of holes.
Oh, it better be good. It better be good if you're going to start like that here.
I was going to introduce you as filling more holes.
I know. Look at how I leaned into my mic. Speaking of holes, I'm like.
Have you seen Black Hole yet?
No.
Black Hole movie?
Black Hole. I'm bad with titles.
That's the one you guys talked about last week, right?
I talked about it last week. Yeah. We'll have to do a movie night or something. It's creepy as hell, and it's goofy. It has Slim Pickens playing a robot.
We talked about this last week. New movie or old movie?
Old movie, 1980, I think.
Oh yeah. No. I've got it on my list.
It kind of got buried, I think, by Star Wars.
I watched that
because it came out the same year, I think, as Jedi. Was it? No. 1980 was Return of the Jedi, right?
I never liked Star Wars.
Okay. Oh, what?
Yeah.
Wow. How old are you?
Sorry.
No, sorry.
I turned 40 this year.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was cheesy. The first time I saw it, I thought it was cheesy as hell. Yeah.
Oh man, I was prime programming, man. 1970.
I missed out. I don't know why.
There's a wormhole in that. The
Talking
sandworm
about-
thing.
I like Spaceballs more than Star Wars.
I
By
like
a
Spaceballs too.
large margin.
Dude, anything Mel Brooks. We'll have to bring up Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, on the monster episode. Yeah,
Maybe I
Bavarian
could do it.
Illuminati.
Oh, if I could do the eyes, I would be Igor.
That
I
would
would
be
do
a
a
lot.
hunch and everything. That would be fun.
That would be a hard thing to wear all night.
Yeah.
My name would be Abby Normal that
Oh,
night.
it's monster definition.
What is
Isn't
it?
a
Tell me.
monster is someone that doesn't have legal or it's someone that needs legal representation.
Wait a
Or
minute.
has no legal land or something like that.
That's
Has no
why
right
like a
to-
monster can't present itself in court. It has to represent itself through almost like in olden times you would have like a champion fight on your behalf because you would just be some poor schmuck that got accused of something, and of course you can't stand up. So whoever could hire the biggest baddest champion to fight on their behalf would win, and then we just kind of scale it back to now it happens in court. But back in the day it was like a Game of Thrones style, right? Like you hire the biggest guy you could find to beat whoever the biggest guy they could find was.
Do you guys remember
Let's get an attorney to tell us.
Yes. Let's.
A human birth or offspring not having the shape of mankind, which cannot be heir to any land, albeit
I forgot what word it was.
brought forth
We
in
went
marriage.
through this rabbit hole.
The
Didn't
Paiutes
we go-
caught those water babies and they threw them in the lake.
We went through this rabbit hole in the QC, and we saw pictures and definitions of this. Remember, we talked about it. I even presented a video and showed it to everyone of this man describing the, oh my God, my brain. wormholes and person and monster and what humans are, and he went in depth with definition, and we talked about this. Now I can't even think of the correct word because I know it was in definition. What human, or was it person, or was it
I know. It was one of those words.
what word was it?
I probably have the screenshots, or I can
Darn it.
conjure
Can we
when
use a
he does.
lifeline?
I know,
Lifeline,
cool.
please.
I
Lifeline.
know. What's your I know. Then I in my Gwyneth Paltrow dig, which I totally forgot, is I remembered her dating Brad Pitt. I remember that being a whole big thing. But I don't remember anything about her dating Ben Affleck. And I was like, "Oh, Ben Affleck, he's gotten around."
Hmm.
J-Lo's hubby.
Didn't she date Gavin Rossdale too? Weren't they a big thing for a long time? Or
Gwen Stefani.
oh yeah, yeah, duh. Well, I don't
And he
know.
like
Her and
cheated
Chris
on her with the
Martin.
maid or something, kind of like
But
Arnold
he did date
Schwarzenegger.
a supermodel first, so that's why I thought.
Didn't No Doubt have an apple on their album cover, the big one?
Dun,
Oh no, it was
dun,
oranges.
dun,
It was
dun.
orange.
Yeah, when she was singing,
Don't speak.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
oranges. Orange
was oranges.
County.
Right.
yeah.
But apples and
because they're
oranges.
Anaheim, because Anaheim is Disney. They were Orange County. Yep.
I wanted to mention Johnny Appleseed, who is uniquely American,
Myth.
real person / turned
Oh, yeah.
mythology, where like he legitimately did plant a bunch of apple seeds all over the place, but he also might have been kind of crazy.
All
Yeah,
the
do you
best
know
ones are, man.
Yeah, I guess so. But like, I think part of his religion was that the more you suffered in this life, it was like you were
Right.
paying off like your karmic debt ahead
It
of
was his
time, right?
penance.
Like you were doubling down on your escrow and your principal payments, like here in this life, so that in your next one it would kind of be like easy coasting. And he took that and just laser focused on, all right, well, I'm just going to plant apple trees all over the place as much as I can. And I think it was because he was also trying to provide people with like hard cider so that they would have easier access to alcohol. So I don't know. It's such a uniquely
Huh.
American story, but I don't know how much of it's true. I love the mythology aspect of it.
Could apples be used to produce a kind of alcohol in the same way of like moonshine that they could run a vehicle?
I don't see why it couldn't, because you can run a vehicle on wood grain alcohol, which can also be drank. So it could also make you blind, but yeah.
Only
Yeah.
if it's good.
I was like, my grandfather, he did it. He got he was marooned on a desert island in the Navy, and while he was there, he made wood grain alcohol. So when they found him a couple months later, he got a reduction rate. He got in trouble because I think he made somebody go blind.
Oh my God.
Yikes.
That's always how I've ever heard of like military or jailhouse hooch is you'll take a bunch of apples and you bruise them up the best that you can, and then you put it in a brown paper bag with some sugar in it, and you basically
That's-
just stick that thing in like a dark place for long enough. Sometimes it'll be like up under the toilet or something, but then that's all you need to make alcohol, right?
And you'll get your little vinegar eels in there, your little worms.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the vril make you smarter, right? It's like a neural link.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's the most. That's
mean,
the
Earl
most
make you
easily
smarter.
I guess we should just all
confirmable.
seek the parasite, right?
Most easily confirmable conspiracies is the blindness and from the moonshine or all the alcohol during the prohibition, because they were caught poisoning, like there was like paper trails and shit and people talking about how the feds would were purposely poisoning the alcohol that they were selling to all the drunks during prohibition.
Well, yeah, because they were buying like
That's why
like
people were going blind.
like vanilla extract and stuff. They were buying extracts and they were drinking that. So they started putting poison in the extracts.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't hurt you if you would just use a little bit for baking, but if you're using it to get drunk, you would start having.
Isn't vanilla like beaver butthole or something?
Artificial. And that's artificial strawberry flavor.
Artificial is really beaver butthole?
That's
something about
strawberry.
Strawberry?
Artificial strawberry comes from like a pheromone sac or something next
What?
to a
Who
beaver's
knew that?
asshole.
Beaver
I have
butthole
no
tasted
clue.
good. That's
So
interesting.
those little strawberry candies that you might get at Halloween, or like from like your old
This
aunt,
is my favorite.
you're basically licking a beaver's asshole at that point.
Wow.
That's such a
Bestiality.
witchy little spell.
How delicious.
Like, hey, anyone want to eat some beaver?
Beaver.
Vanilla. That's why every slut smells like a little bit like vanilla.
Castoreum is a chemical compound
that
that
was a
mostly
Britney thing.
comes from a beaver's castor sacs.
Wasn't it her perfume that was all vanilla?
Whose?
Britney's when they first came out.
I don't know. I
I don't
never
know,
smelled
Glenn.
Britney's perfume.
And urine.
Ugh.
But there is some really great mixtures of vanilla flavors with other things that I like. But there was like one specific perfume in high school, and I don't remember the name, but I'm sure vanilla was in it. So I don't want to say like Vanilla Fields because I don't know if that was it or not. But there was a vanilla perfume in high school that, for real, every girl in my school, I don't want to slut shame, but every girl in my school that did get slut shamed in high school, because that's what people do, they all smelled like vanilla.
Victoria's Secret.
I don't know if it was Vicsex. I feel like it was something that was like it had a name vanilla in it, and all the girls.
Vanilla Musk.
There was a French vanilla perfume. I remember that.
Vanilla Musk.
I don't
And
know.
then I feel like Vanilla Fields was like, this was the Victoria's Secret lotion.
Oh, maybe it was that then. But I felt like it was like a permeating smell. It's not the worst though.
Well, I gotta go, guys, because I have to be up in 3
Layla,
hours.
do you have any other Apple one more thing you want to drop before you bust out?
Do I? No, I don't. No, I don't. I should
No?
have an Apple before
What
bed.
your Instagram?
Where can everyone find you?
Oh, okay. So Godpill Angel 333 and Godpill Angel 33. I go on live sometimes and just share my thoughts with people, feelings, ether, cycles, moon, periods.
And that's on Instagram and
Instagram.
TikTok.
Yes, and on TikTok. So you can find me there and here. And sometimes I do join the Spiders on Saturday nights. Shout out to the Spiders. Yeah, so I'll see you guys later. It was fun.
Thanks, Layla.
I
See you
love it. I love you
soon.
guys. All right, I'll
Love
see
you
guys
back.
later.
Bye
Bye.
boy. So wait. Sing one more time, and then go out. And then go
Because
out.
tonight will be the night that I could fall for you. I'm never doing that
Really
again.
isolate that.
All right, love you guys. Bye.
Everybody make a video of that, and we're gonna have a contest.
Well, I want to suggest we have a bug night where everyone just shows up and you can talk, but you have to have like the bug on your hand the entire time.
Really close to the camera,
Yeah.
just showing it.
Like the worm on Labyrinth. Oh my gosh, that thing was so stinking cute.
The
Nah,
inchworm.
just a worm. Yeah.
Oh, see, now I'm thinking the Dune planet, it being maybe a torsion field and a giant apple with the worms, the giant sandworms.
Sandworms look like buttholes too. They look like an
They do
apple
look like
cut.
buttholes.
Yeah, they look. It's like, they say in horror movies the scariest two things for us are like the vagina shape and the phallic shape. So they say anytime they can get something scary to
Lipstick
look.
was pretty scary too, man. I'm just
What?
gonna go back to that. You guys need to watch.
They actually
Another
say the
human.
scariest thing in like cinematic history is the alien monster, because it represents phallic and like vaginal,
terrifying.
like it's both things. And I always think that's interesting. For like that worm is also those things where it's phallic and it kind of represents an asshole. Not to stop it. Asshole always makes the awkward silence.
Asshole.
I mean, the Prometheus
This
movie
almost
and
was
Alien has the other like scariest thing too, where like she doesn't want to have an alien child, and the alien's like, too bad, here's this alien child, and then what she like uses some kind of like suction device, I think, to like suck it out of her body before it gives birth.
So for Alien?
This is the Prometheus movie,
Oh
which
yeah.
is like the precursor to Alien. No,
I haven't seen that.
I mean that's Vril. That's Vril all over again because they have this little vial of like black goo basically.
Uh-huh.
At the very beginning, they show, and there's a director's cut that never made it into the movies. I think like the theatrical had it, but when they released it for mass release, they completely changed the beginning. But in the beginning, they explained that this black goo is like the origin of all life, and they pour it into the ocean, and then that breaks down. You kind of like zoom in, and it shows the double strand helix, and it's breaking apart, and it turns into amoebas and fish, and it's basically saying like this was the origin of all life on this planet, and these Promethean watchers or aliens were going to a bunch of different places in the solar system and just like dropping it in, like see what would grow. They were like Johnny Appleseed of the universe almost. And then this black goo, humans try to make their own because they found out that was the source of life. They try to make their own, and that's kind of what Vril is, or maybe what nanobots are. And it kind of like infests you and it turns you into this horrible creature. And that's what the aliens were. The aliens were humans reattempts to create life. And it was like we're like the Gnostic demiurge, right? Like the life that we create is more flawed than we are, so therefore it can never be even close to as good as we want it to be, and then it turns into an alien and it rips out of your chest.
Is that like the primordial ooze?
I think so, but it's like it's engineered from these alien gods.
It's so I've had a trippy experience on a psychedelic drug, and when I saw myself, the closest thing after like replaying things in my head in my god journey was a Prometheus like blue masculine figure. There wasn't like a genitalia. That's what was so familiar about it. Like, I don't know what my face looked like. I only know what it looked like when I was looking down. And so I always think that is so crazy that they went with that look for that, because it took me like probably a year before I saw that thing and was like, oh my gosh, that's the thing. Prometheus. Fire starter. Because we always seem to need, the fire in the water. For the creation. What other apple? You guys got any other?
You got Apple Jacks in the title. Is there like, I just know the cereal, but I'm sure Apple Jacks the name was based on something else. Was it like a game or something?
I thought it was Navy.
I don't know at all. I remember the
think it's
game
nautical.
Jacks where it was like you threw a ball at a Merkaba and then grabbed him. And it was like a whole bunch of Jewish stars on the ground and you threw a ball at them and then picked them up. Do you guys remember that game, Jacks?
Yeah.
That
And
way
then
it
the cereal
always seemed
Apple
so
Jacks was
boring. It
fun.
was, I don't know. I guess I was just thankful that I got to be programmed in the age of Tyco handhelds and Game Boys.
Yeah. Right.
Jacks
Yeah,
did seem boring.
Imagine if like, your games were Tiddlywinks, Jacks, and Marbles.
dude, Coleco football was the shit, man.
Don't you think Pogs were kind of like marbles?
Dude, Pogs.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? Somebody made a divination thing out of Pogs. I thought it was a new.
Oh, that's the coolest idea ever. I would rather get my tarot reading from some lady throwing a slammer down and
Right,
then like
dude.
seeing what your reading is.
I know who this
You
person
just
is.
made
It's
a
great.
great idea.
It's a
Tarot
fucking
cards
genius.
on Pogs, and then you do them in the exact same
Mhm.
way.
You're gonna have to make those.
I'm adding that next to my my Vril
You need
Housewives.
to.
Oh,
Real
Real Housewives.
I
I
thought what you said
love
earlier,
this
so now I
idea.
need to make
love
a
it.
Real Housewives of Hollywood.
I love this.
This is
I
great.
love this. I'm so in. It's so funny. I can't even believe it came out like that. I know. I wrote down another list of Apple stuff. The amount of times.
Applebee's.
I don't
I
know
feel
what
like
I did
there's
with my
something
notes.
occult going on there.
The what?
Applebee's,
Oh.
all good in the neighborhood.
It seems like one of those first restaurants that had that interior that it was like, we're going to make nostalgia, like how you were talking, selling nostalgia. They were one where they're like, it was all packaged nostalgia. It wasn't really from your town or anything you knew.
Yeah.
I'm
It was
also
like some random
Go ahead.
trumpet. You didn't know where it came from, and you think it might have been, or a football picture, and that might have been from
Right.
your town, but probably not.
It's all AI.
Yeah.
They were actually generating everything with AI back
Right,
then.
exactly. Yeah, probably back then. It was all vague enough where it could have been anything, trying to program us to like see these faces on these car commercials here that are like, they're clearly not human. Like, if that, I kind of think that 4K cameras were kind of the like, it doesn't look real to me when I look at a 4K TV, like, or a 4K screen video in like anything higher than that. Oh my god, I'm outside. Sorry. But anything else?
I wish it was a black helicopter.
Yeah, eventually it'll. If I talk,
Like, I wish it was something like.
fuck,
Sorry, go
we're
on.
fighting things.
Yeah, sorry.
not
I
letting
don't
know
wish it was a black helicopter,
Yes,
government.
we do. Ad. Oh, what was I talking about?
Christina Applegate.
No.
My Maria asked, why does the apple a day keep the doctor away?
Because it actually doesn't. An apple a day would probably keep the doctor coming back to you more often than not, right?
Is the arsenic?
Arsenic, the extra sugar. I think even having too much folic acid can be not great for you.
Does
Gives you the shits.
apple? Yeah, it does
I
have
don't
a
eat
lot
apples.
of fiber in it.
I don't eat fruit.
Yeah.
I think it also, I may just be making things up at this point, but I think it has niacin in it as well. And there's been a lot of reports where people that have chemical imbalances, either one way or the other, that they are naturally just tripping balls all the time. But if you give them niacin, it balances them out and then they become sober. And the inverse is true as well. There's people out there that they can live their whole lives, never touch an apple, and then someone could bite into an apple. And because of that same chemical interaction where like the niacin fills it in, I guess in this case the niacin makes them start tripping. So actually when we were talking about the knowledge and biting into the apple, it's a very real possibility. There's Dr. Abram Hoffer wrote about this specifically. He's the one that didn't discover niacin, but he's the one that basically suggested that it become part of people's regular diets. And he also was the one behind fortifying all of our cereals like Apple Jacks, where they've got like iron embedded. It's all the same guy.
Well, check this out, because
Yeah.
like I didn't realize how even just carbohydrate is so intoxicating. Because I'm a bodybuilder, so I just had peak week like the week before last, which is you deplete your body of all carbohydrate. Like I pretty much just ate vegetables, right? And during that time, like it's not quite ketogenic because I'm not eating high fat, but I'm basically trying to manipulate the water in my body, because for every gram of carbohydrates that you eat, your body stores 3 grams of water. So we're trying to get rid of the intercellular and extracellular water. So that way, when we're ready, I can eat carbohydrate and plump my body back with water and it goes straight to my muscle. That's the theory, right? So anyway, carb depleted for a week and I had no body fat. Then then I eat like 960 grams of carbs in one day. So, and I'm not saying total weight. I'm talking about just the weight of the carbohydrate, right? So this is a ton of food.
Tell
I
them
thought
how
I was
many
going to be able to get
calories ish.
about 5,000. It was about 5,000. I want to say 5,266 calories that day. So I'm eating all this, and by the time I get to like 400 grams of carbs after not eating them, I was drunk. I couldn't drive. I could barely walk. I was literally drunk. It was insane. And it was very clean carbohydrate. So it wasn't like, so I can see that. Like people not having apples and then having them. It's
There
just,
also is a, yeah, if no one ever had fruit before and that kind of ever even in their body,
yeah.
and then you almost wonder, but all of our grandparents also used to have oranges on the table, high in vitamin C, high in zinc. And so we also find that these two vitamin they kind of need each other to like go into our body. And those used to be all over the tables everywhere, and now we have influxes of 100 different kinds of apples at the store, and oranges not even from our country, and they all used to be from Florida, and now we don't have that anymore. So it's almost like that, comparing apples and oranges, and an apple a day keeps the doctor away. You should have had an orange a day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or even they say like grapefruit, like it speeds up your metabolism in the morning. Like our grandparents used to be really steady about the shit they did. And so they would all have their like half a grapefruit and or like their little glass of grapefruit.
Water, like the lemon in the hot water and stuff. Yeah.
And raw milk. We drank raw milk then too. Our grandparents.
That was funny. That Thomas said that last week, raw milk. I remember that too in my head. Gordy, you were talking about something with the 4K.
Thank you. The robot people. I remember sending it to you, sending you a screenshot. I don't know where it is now, but of this stupid AI generated looking car commercial from Scottsdale. And it just looks the fakest, like, I don't know. And maybe it's just in 4K or whatever.
Oh.
It looks so fake to me. Like they're trying, like it's part of this programming of getting our eyes used to unreality, and it's this whole machine learning thing. It's learning from us.
Was it? Did you say car commercial? Was it the one where the lady is sitting there talking to her son in the car, and like she's sitting there going, he's like, now I think he's changing the color of the car, but he's totally not a person. It's not even real. I've been noticing that on the commercials. I've been noticing that there's like more and more not actors. It's all fake.
Yeah.
That's what I think with the Paddington Bear and the Queen of England. They have Paddington sit there with the Queen, and we're all focused on this bear, thinking, how amazing is the CGI that this bear is talking? So it makes us not focus on that the Queen CGI, because that bitch has been dead for years.
No shit, huh?
Like I think it's all just if I actually on my 4K TV, I turn off the 4K. I can't watch it in the smooth setting because I can see the movie set and I can't get lost in any of the shows anymore. It's like, so I have to turn it down to like 1080 max. Sometimes I'll watch stuff in 720. Like if it's Star Wars or something with, oh, this is crazy CGI, I have to watch it in 720. I don't want to watch it in 4K because I cannot get lost in it at all. My head just starts to decipher the CGI. But the kids younger than us, they don't know any of the difference. So when you're taking the 4K and you're adding the contouring and you're mixing up this person's not real, it's very easy to start to even like, they're like, this is Will Smith. CGI has been using me this amount of time. And it's just like all those people, we have no idea what Hollywood looks like or how much they recreate them.
That reminds me of, this is like, I guess, going to be like an old man rant, I guess, at a certain aspect, but it absolutely, because I actually like the AI commercial thing. I think it's going to be cool, but I guess from my perspective, I'm hoping the best of humanity, that people start seeing all this fake stuff so they start being more critical, but it might not be that. It might be the opposite. But the thing that scares me the most, like, this is worse than an alien bursting out of my chest, but when people show the videos of like like their baby or like their toddler, and they show them like the filter with like the face looking different or changing the face to be an old man or like like that is genuinely terrifying to me because of what you're just talking about of like, you know, looking at the outside world and here's how I interpret the world now. Oh, everyone has like the computer face or you've got like your real face and everyone would rather see your computer face clearly because that's what I grew up and everyone likes it and I get more attention and they laugh when they, you know, I see this computer face. And I think it's going to be a completely different dynamic than what anyone before us has really been used to. I'm at Disney. This is one of my favorite interactions that scared me. But they would go out into the park and be like, you know, hey kid, you want to come into this tent and, you know, try out this game? But it was like they would give them products or they'd show them a little clip of a movie and just figure out if, you know, if they liked it or not. And they gave this kid a book to actually read, and it must have been like 4 or 5, like a little kid, and the kid has the book in front of them with the, you know, it's all closed, and he's swiping the cover expecting like the page to turn from just like the swipe motion, and it was clear that they had just never interacted with an actual book or had to turn the page. They were used to like iPads where you just like swipe to the next page.
Right.
And just to be that early and be training someone like, here's how you interact with the physical world. You just kind of like move your hand around and it magically happens around you. And the exact same thing of like, and here's, you look at everyone through this little device, this little black mirror, and that's where, you know, you get like the actual part of people. And I don't know, that's terrifying to me. And thank you, Apple, by the way. Thank you, Apple, for that.
Programming us.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, like I was off Facebook for a really long time. I just opened it back up to be in specific groups that's the only way they communicate. But everyone's pictures are all filtered now. Like, you're like, dude, you're a fucking tweaker and you don't have teeth. Don't tell me you look like that. Like, we know you don't look like that, bitch. Why are you doing that? But I don't know. It is what it is.
They got the Instagram veneers ad one too many times. They were like, yeah, I'm going to get that.
Yeah. But I mean, everyone's doing it. I'm like, the whole family is like perfect. And you're like,
like you get comfortable like the same way like I can go on certain of these like it's Zoom or StreamYard or whatever and
touch up your appearance.
Well, or you're opposite. You just see yourself like this side of my screen is really this side of my screen, and that's the way I prefer.
I have to flip mine.
Yeah, and when I go into certain rooms and I see it like I don't like my face like that. Yeah. I'm not comfortable.
Why do you
with
have to flip it? I'm curious.
You don't flip yours?
No, why would you flip it? Because otherwise, like text would not show up the right way. Right?
I know none of my text ever does. It always shows up backwards. But I'm used to seeing myself in the mirror only, so I want to look if I ever even notice myself on screen. Which, having to do production, I have to notice my face more. Like I have to pay attention, so I see it. I can't just post it over my face. I want to only see the mirror version. Otherwise, it's weird to me because it's not. I know it's the true version that everybody else sees, but it's not the version I'm comfortable with.
Right. I'm with you on that.
I don't know I forgot what the point was.
I wonder what that does to your brain. Like if you never look in a regular mirror and you only look at like webcam streaming, so it's like never flipped. Or I guess it would be flipped.
Well, that's what I was thinking. If everyone just gets super comfortable, like I'm on TikTok, however many hours a day, or Instagram, or whatever, and I just constantly have a filter on my own face, am I so mortified by myself eventually in the regular mirror? In the same way that I don't want to even look at myself on Zoom in the right way, that they've spent 8 hours, a third of their life a day, or 4 days a week, some of these people, to step off their filter is going to make them less likely to go into the real world.
Like Worf showing up for Star Trek.
I just think it'd be so crazy because I remember one of those. This week there used to be that show MTV True Life. I keep going back to that so many times this week. I'm like, what is this show? I might need to watch them all over again because I'm like, this keeps coming up.
What is True Life?
It was the show on MTV that was almost like if you took any of those shows that were like, I eat emery boards, or I want to marry a bridge, or I'm gay and my parents disowned me, or I'm into conspiracy theories, or I work out too much, like whatever the thing that you think is the thing, they had a whole show on MTV called MTV True Life. And so it was like almost like an obsession, like a reality show, but you just followed somebody around with their weird
Eccentricities.
Yeah, and now there's like whatever that one show is, there's a whole show on like Lifetime that's just based on that one episode. It's just like the I Eat Emery Board family.
I
This is the
just
one
saw
I'm
one that
obsessed
came
with. I love
out
it.
this week
The
called
Coffee Enema family.
Not hot coffee, but coffee enema.
there was a new show that came out this week called Down for Love, where it's like a
This is how I know we've
you know
hit
what I'm talking about?
Yes, and I actually had to like text it to a few friends of mine that I'm like, we've officially like something about this. Like
Is this the
I
one with the
just
full frontal nudity that's coming out?
it's
I mean, maybe.
yeah, maybe it's people with Down syndrome that are finding love with each other on Netflix.
Okay.
I'm waiting for the crossover between Down for Love and 90 Day Fiance. Or maybe Catfish.
With it, does that I don't want to say anything else. It's like I have so much I'm like, how much can I pick on with this? But Down for Love. I've watched a couple of when I was laid up, I watched one that was like couples went in that were about to get married and then they swapped partners to be in a fake marriage with somebody else's spouse for a few weeks.
Yeah, trading spouses.
It wasn't that, but I guess
okay.
it's the same idea because a few people I've told this about, they've said that same show to me. And I'm like, what? Like, I can't even imagine. And I'm like, but
Right.
these people sleep in the same bed. And they're like, on Trading Spouses, that happened too. And I'm like, I am floored. Like, you just go and you're just like, okay, now we're playing house and we just met. That is so wild to me.
I know. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about before the True Life thing? Oh yeah. The people on True Life, they played this. There was one that there was this certain game that they all played and they were a character inside the game. And some of them got so comfortable playing this game, Second Life. That's what it was called. Some of these people got so embedded in playing Second Life that they could never really go out in the real world. And some of them in Second Life places, they had like some girl, let's say she was like uncomfortable with herself in whatever way, but she was a really great singer. So they had a lounge on Second Life and she was really a famous singer inside the video game, Second Life. But outside in the world, she had no confidence to go sing in a pub. And so it was just
Definitely
like,
Ready Player One.
yeah, but it's almost like those filters started where
Yeah.
it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
if you are so comfortable with yourself behind a filter or even like a costume or a different mask, then you're more
It's all
likely
masks.
to be like, I want to play in there more often than being out here.
I like posting unfiltered pictures. Like I like filters, don't get me wrong. I think they're great. Like especially if I'm trying to, show muscle definition or something, But at the same time it's like I don't know. There's something about a raw picture. I appreciate them now.
Is there such thing as a raw picture?
When you're not adding anything to it, it just.
But I mean the
is.
process itself, like depending on so many factors, what kind of
Lighting.
film were you using? What was the exposure?
Oh
What
yeah,
was the
I got good
aperture?
light too.
Right?
Yeah, like I don't like to because I do check-in photos every Friday, like in a bikini, but don't think didn't buy a soft box light because those ring lights don't work good.
Oh,
I'm highlighting my glutes really well.
Ugh, my ring light's horrible. I have new lights on their way.
I got a giant soft box light.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
Is that what you
amazing.
need?
my homegirl who's a photographer offered those lights to me however long ago, and I was like, I don't want all those big lights in my space. Now I'm like, oh.
Now that I have to take pictures all the time, I'm like, yeah,
I went the
we need
opposite direction.
Well, I look horrible if I am lit up wrong, and I didn't realize it until I see myself back editing things, and I'm like, oh, that's not the best me. Like, I didn't know overhead light was so bad. Girls actually teach me so many tips about like lighting yourself up or like using golden hued things as opposed to like blue light things or green light things. But maybe
Here's
men don't
one.
think about this shit as much.
I feel like this should be on a Black Mirror episode, like next season. You know, just give me a little bit of credit. Give me like 1% of royalties if they use this. But like right now, it's acceptable for you to filter yourself, right, and present this slightly filtered version of yourself to the world. And it's like, you know, that's your prerogative. It's up to your discretion. But what happens if we all start wearing like glasses? And now I get to decide what Cheney looks like, or I get to decide what Abby looks like. And now, like, I get to decide that filter. It almost feels like you're doing something wrong, or like bad that you are like, I'm going to change the way that you look to me to whatever I want it
Like
to be.
shallow
You know what I mean?
Hal a little.
It's, oh, yeah, Shadow How, but also just like, what if I just want to change the way you look for, you know, like to make you look silly or to like, maybe it'll be easier to remember you if you just have a big like Cheney as your head or something.
A beard.
What is it?
A beard.
A beard, yeah. Like, yeah, Cheney has like a beard, but I feel like would that be acceptable at a certain point? And then if so, you could just train, like you could know 20 people, but no one would know the same version of you based on looks alone.
That's so interesting. Or what
And is
about
that
if
wrong? Like, would you feel like I was doing something wrong if you found out that for like the last, 5 years we've been talking, the whole time I got special glasses that like, give you, I don't know, blue hair or something, or turn you into like a, I guess whatever. Yeah,
I
it would be
know.
up to me whatever it wanted to look like.
Then it's like, is it okay as long as it's like, am I clothed right now? Do you have me clothed right now? Because it's not real X-ray glasses. It could
It
be
goes into the whole, is it cheating if you're imagining somebody else thing?
Or was the other one that came up.
If your eyes
Are you cheating if you're having sex with your clone?
Or is it gay?
Or is it gay? Or is it masturbation?
It's totally masturbation, man. Because nobody can please you like yourself. So if it's your clone, it should probably be pretty good. I'm going to go with masturbation. Final answer.
Final answer.
Narcissism.
It's
Who
not
has to clean up, though?
Oh man, I'm
The
into
clone. The clone cleans and then takes the mess right into the closet with it. Look at my gay clone right in the closet.
Ex Machina.
I love that movie. I think everyone should watch Ex Machina again.
So that's an interesting movie to me, just because maybe I'm outing myself as a psychopath here, but I saw that movie and I thought, like, yeah, you should be able to do whatever you want with it. It's a fucking computer.
Yeah, you should.
But the premise of that movie was like, look at this horrible person. He's created this, this robot, and he's mistreating the robot. And I kind of feel like that's the scariest part. Like, I feel like once humans start giving robots more consideration that we give other humans, like that's the true death spiral. There's no coming back from you caring more about your vacuum cleaner than you might about some like veteran on the side of the road, right? Just because the vacuum cleaner has the aesthetic of, something more pleasant to look at. And that's kind of the whole premise of Ex Machina, right? It was that, that like once computers look as human as possible, then it's no longer right to treat them poorly. But I mean, if it was just like a big hunk of metal and you saw someone just like whacking it with a wrench because they were frustrated, it would just be like, oh yeah, like if you've seen a million people hit like an HVAC, compressor or something because they were frustrated at it, no one gets upset about that. But the second you put like a human physique and wrap it in skin and make facial
personality
expressions
program and
yeah, all of a sudden now it's like you're a bad person for doing it. So I don't know. Ex Machina to me is like programming people to say care more about machines than you care about each other.
Well, the interesting part I think about Ex Machina is the guy comes to the place and there is an Asian woman who has zero personality. And whatever, it's no spoiler alert. And anytime I say spoiler alert, I just want everyone to know this is how I say it because it triggers me. So I say it like this. Blah, 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 blah.
Why does that trigger you?
Because I just think be grown up, everyone. Like it's like how far in advance do we have to talk about things? I don't know what you're watching or not watching. We have to make a show now, and every time you just hear people are like spoiler alert, like how long can it be out before we can just talk about it like it's a thing? Like I don't know. So it's just like one of those phrases like Gwyneth Paltrow, like it's a conscious uncoupling, or like
This might
any of
sound
those
like a
things.
dick, but I remember in middle school when Scream first came out, the very first Scream. Our favorite thing to do is that we went and saw the very first showing and then stayed in all the following ones. And the second the killer showed up, we would just scream like, "That's the killer!" and then just leave and then go to the next one. It was so fun.
Dicks. You're a dick. See that video for
But see, would it have been better if we were like, "Spoiler alert! That's the killer."
Spoiler alert. But it wouldn't give everyone, like there's so many times like, okay, you guys were about to talk about things in Ex Machina, so if you don't want to know the ending, please turn off for like 2 minutes and then come back. Like I just hate when shows do that. Like let's just talk about the thing. Especially because sometimes it'll be like, you guys were about to talk about Snow White. Spoiler alert. And you're like, what? Snow White. So Ex Machina, the Asian lady who ends up being a robot at the end, but she's totally covered in flesh. But you are unable to make a human connection with her that you give a shit about her, even though she's the one covered in flesh. And then when he meets the robot who only has a couple pieces of her that are actually covered in flesh, she shows more human and shows more feeling and she's the one you actually get feelings for.
It's the version of like, you should smile more, right? And like the Asian lady doesn't smile more, but this robot is like just smiling right out of the gate. So you're like, oh yeah, I like this one better.
Yeah, it's like that teddy bear thing. And then I also think it's so interesting the Jackson Pollock on the wall of that, how it's like the staple throughout the thing. And like that's to me, CIA created art. And then you're looking at this entire program while you're watching it the whole time. This movie is a Jackson Pollock. It is CIA created art, like everything happening in it. And so I just think it's funny you're watching a picture inside a picture inside a picture, like an infinity mirror, and you yourself are watching it. It becomes its own version of Black Mirror. And Ex Machina is even brilliant name. I think that movie, kudos. But that dude, to me, he does so many good movies. Like if he's involved in it, I'll usually watch it and enjoy it. I wish I knew his name. Shout out, but
the ginger guy, right?
Yeah, he does a couple of good films.
Gordy, I know the mantis is cool and all, but you realize that if it was your size, it would be murdering you tonight.
Yeah, right? Yep, totally.
Or it would be your dragon. I always think
Maybe it
it's
is my
crazy
dragon.
how like
Owls are my
it's
dragon.
chilling with Gordy. Like it's totally chilling right now. Like it's calling all other mantis, and
Well,
you and I don't even know.
Computer. It
Is
kept
it making
coming to the
noise?
computer. Nope.
Like all
It's
of a
just-
sudden spaceships all come over Florida and Oklahoma.
It was over here, and then it flew over, ate some bug, and then came back.
Where are you at right now again, Gordy?
Arizona.
Do you have fireflies in Arizona?
We didn't. But what's weird is just a few years ago, I'd never seen fireflies before, but the last 2 years when we had those crazy monsoons that just lasted for months and months and months, we had fireflies here. And I thought I was going nuts until I saw somebody post something in my neighborhood on Facebook. So I was like, oh shit, okay, because I was like, your camera can't really catch a firefly like, you
They're
know.
like Bigfoot.
I mean, you see it, but and if there's just a few of them, there was just a few of them, but they were here, and that same year, um, some pupfish came back that were supposedly extinct, and some of these three-eyed triops things were coming out of the ground, and up there in when the what was it? What's the Burning Man? Burning Man supposedly when they got so much mud that there were shrimp spontaneously like hatching out of the land just this year.
Like sea monkeys.
Yeah, like sea monkeys. Yeah.
Sea monkeys. I was just thinking about sea monkeys of recent because I was just like,
Really?
why do they call them sea monkeys? And then I'm like, they kind of call us monkeys, always with evolution. And then I'm like, do they consider us shrimp? Oh,
Supposedly
yeah.
those were this guy who sold stuff in the back of comic books. Like he kept trying like different like things, like he had like a shockers and all those kind of things, and then he was always coming up with the next big thing and nothing really hit, but then he used it for bait or something like that. I can't remember what the lore is, but anyway, he just marketed them, and he was the one that came up with sea monkeys in the little cartoon, and then it
Well,
worked.
it was based on the concept of a flea circus.
Flea circus,
Where
yeah.
like where like you could like he was
They put
basically it was like, you mean these idiots are just buying fleas and you tell them that it's a big circus and they believe it? And he's like, all right, well I can take these little like little dehydrated shrimp and then tell people that they're a family and it's like Billy and Bobby and Susie, right? And
Yeah.
they're all going to school and they wear dresses, and it's just, it's 100% marketing. I actually love the story of that pet rock.
Yeah.
I was just about to say the pet rock too. It's just if you can, it's almost the best idea of all time. You're just like, what can we take that there's
Yeah,
a
no one can beat that.
plethora
Like, there's
of?
no one that's gonna beat. Hey, I'm gonna pick up that rock. That's your friend, and now you're gonna buy it from me.
Ant farm.
I got them to get pretty big when I was a kid. I got good at those.
At making sea monkeys.
Yeah. Yep.
They're so weird.
They're really weird, and they just swim in a circle. That's all they do. It's the equivalent of pond water.
And those are like the same things that came up at Burning Man.
Well, bigger than that.
They
more
actually look
they
like
look like trilobites.
that's what I thought. They look like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I mean, not real dinosaurs, but
Yeah.
Chianyao.
There's a trend I've noticed where people that don't believe in dinosaurs do believe in dragons.
Yeah.
And often giants.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. It's hard pressed. Like every old book kind of, or religion or whatever, writes about a great flood. I feel like everyone writes about giants too. Like if there was truth amongst the world, if we could just boil down, like here's some raw truths that we know, that everything writes about flood, giants. And I feel like dragons should be in there, but they've been erased.
Mm-hmm.
Why have they erased the dragons? Why have they made them worms? Unless the dragons are the parasite. But things that I read where it's like the dragon reptilian or dragon serpent bloodlines that they split, things that I read is that the dragons would be what is considered the white, the less dense of the energy, the whiter of the energy, and the serpents would be the dark. So I don't know.
I could have. I mean, I might be misremembering this, but this is like some deep conspiracy lore here. But there was a guy named Benjamin Fulford in the mid 2000s, I think, and he claimed that in Japan there was this anti-Illuminati squad that called themselves the White Dragon Society, and that they were apparently like the good guy version. You know, they were the White Witch, whereas the NWO and the Rockefellers and the Morgans and like that whole entire conglomerate, that was like the bad witch. But yeah, White Dragon Society, I believe is his name, which also comes from a comic book, I think.
I pet a white dragon.
In your dream?
In my dream, it was one of the most powerful things I've ever done.
Was it like a Never-Ending Story style?
No, it was scary as hell, but it would actually like came right up to me and looked. It had violet eyes, and like I was terrified, but it let me touch it, so I just touched it on its face. But it was scary. It was awesome.
At some point, I don't care if this is a segment on the show, and I think it'd be really cool if we have like an Abby dream time segment for whatever it is we're talking about. And so we're talking about white dragons, so you can talk about whatever that to finish. But is there anything Apple related that's
Oh,
been?
I've eaten a golden apple, and I didn't even know that was like the golden apple was like a mythology thing, and that it was like immortality and all that.
And so everyone knows, if you haven't met Abby before, she maps her dreams, and it's been something she's been working on for a really long time. And I'll let you explain it. You can do a better job than me. I don't want to say I have Dreamweaver in my phone if I ever chat with you, because I don't know what to explain that you do, but it's like your superpower.
Dreaming is my superpower, but I do dream cartography is what it's called. So it's where you actually kind of pay more attention to the setting of a dream than you pay attention to, like I do dream interpretation too, but it's a way to become lucid more often, because you start going back to the same places pretty much, but you can map almost every dream. I use an app. It's called, I used to sketch it, but I'm really just not a great sketcher.
I'm
So
taking this note down because this is like right up my alley lately.
I know. Actually, I saw the first time I saw you, or heard you speak was on Blue Collar Mystics, and you were talking about lucid dreaming, and I was like, I've got to talk to him. So
It has worked wonders for me. I mean, I
Real
never
quick,
even remembered
shout out
my
to Blue
dreams.
Collar Mystics. You guys can find
For
them on
real.
YouTube or check out that podcast, and it's pretty dope. Owen's awesome, and he'll probably come hang out if we can ever twist his arm to stay up late
Well,
enough.
Yes, he will. He'll
So
come.
shout out.
Shout out
Okay,
Owen.
go on. Everybody
Yeah.
loves
Yeah,
him here.
I want to hear the cartography thing too, but I also want to get like a free dream reading out of this, maybe.
I'll try. Sometimes I don't always have it off the cuff. I might have to like think about it a little bit. But I use this app called Freeform, and you can like let's see if it'll focus. You can actually just kind of draw your like
Can we pull it up on the computer? Can I do that for you?
Yeah, hold on. Can I
But
do it
another while you're pulling it up,
because it's not on the internet. It's a app based. So
or there might be some advertised picture or something for it. But another cool thing, and I'll let you go all into that, and I'll pull it up on the screen. Another cool thing that you do, and I said this to somebody out loud this week, and I was thinking, and they were so like, "What a great idea!" And I was like, "Oh, this should be verbalized more," because I've heard you say it in so many chat rooms. A lot of people don't write down their dreams because when they first wake up in the morning, grabbing a pen and paper is a really foreign thing. And so they stop doing it. It's like a weird thing of laziness, but everybody picks up their phone in the morning and they lay. And so I'll let you tell people what to do with this and how you can research so much quicker. And I just think this is so awesome and such a like tip for everyone.
So if you can't remember your dreams, I mean, the biggest thing is to write them down, because if you don't write them down, you got to treat them like they're sacred. So if you're not writing them down, then you're not treating them like they're important. So what I do is I just go into the notes app on my phone, which I could do voice notes too, but they're harder to search. But what I love about doing it this way, just using the iNotes, is that I go in and you can search them. So I can go back and like look for every time I've dreamt of apple. And actually I did. I've dreamt apple trees like so many times. And they were all back to back. So that was definitely symbolic. And it was like my subconscious telling me to pay attention to it. But I wouldn't have even noticed had I not been able to search. So if you just write your dream down, you don't have to write all the details, just write the key stuff really quick while you remember it. And if you can't remember it and you just write down type out in your notes, like, I will remember my dream as something will happen today and it'll help trigger my dream recall. And then it does. Like, you'll have a conversation on the phone with somebody at 8 o'clock in the evening, and then all of a sudden, oh, I remember my dream. And it works. It's like just using affirmations and intention, but it works.
Abby,
And you were
thank you
go on,
so
Gordy.
much for introducing me to the idea of having somebody read the stuff to you. Your dream guide character
Oh, you've done it?
was so like, yes.
Oh, yes.
And it's
What is this?
What is this?
Okay.
You're not allowed to
I
just
want you to introduce this.
You're not
Okay.
allowed to just be like, remember that inside thing? That was awesome.
Remember
I
when you
got
gave me
this
the
from the
philosopher's
dream
stone and we made
hackers.
gold? Yeah.
So the dream hackers, they're I've learned a lot from them. They're actual Russian dream team. They actually are like the inspiration for the OA. That show, the OA, like the people doing the dream research. They actually did this in Russia, and they got really into the Castaneda stuff, and they took it and built on it. So one of the things that what were we just talking about? My backstory kind of like messed it up.
I hit my bowl and you
Gordy?
got stoned.
Damn it. Context high.
You're talking about the Russian guys that got into Castaneda.
Right. I know that part.
But
I
Gordy
mean,
was
the
saying
point.
something specific about Gordy. What thing did you just say? Is Gordy frozen?
I think he's
We're
frozen.
reverse engineering this now.
Oh my gosh.
Weird.
Did we all just get mind zapped?
Maybe.
Right. I wish somebody in the chat tell us what we were talking
I
about.
know. That's why I was looking at the chat.
You said the OA.
We were talking about dream recall and writing it down.
Well, you were gonna, yeah, because Gordy said thank you for showing me how to do like the reading someone else's dream character or something.
There
and
it
then
is.
Gordy.
There it is.
Okay.
So,
Something weird happened.
My friend Ernest actually translated all these Russian forums, or they're actually in Lithuanian. So he translated this whole book that's in Lithuanian that's from these forums, the Dream Hacker forums. And they talked about how, when you read in a dream, the words always change. And so one of them actually followed John Dee. He's a librarian in real life. So one of the dream hackers found John Dee in a dream, and he followed John Dee into his library, and he's lucid, right? So he's inside John Dee's library, and he had to figure out how to read a book. So he asked the dreaming emissary how to read, and basically the dreaming emissary said that they would read to him. So he would go pull a book off John Dee's shelf. He would use memory palaces to memorize the book.
Wow.
And then he would sit there and tell the dreaming emissary to read to him. And so the dreaming emissary would sit there and read a whole book, or actually John Dee even has a computer in his library in the dream space. So he was actually able to research on John Dee's computer. He learned how to fold the Patience of the Medici, which is like a whole making chain sequences for manifestation. Is pretty awesome. But I tried it recently in a lucid dream. I actually made the dream read to me, and it worked. I had to yell at it because I was like trying to mumble it, and I was like, I don't have time for this shit. You better freaking read it louder. And then it got louder, and it read it to me. So,
but this reminds me, someone was mentioning before Ready Player One. This is like the scene in Ready Player One. You go to like the library and you like yell at the librarian to like give you the information you're looking for.
Oh, weird. I read the book. See, I didn't really get into the movie.
And you were saying something, Abby, that you saw Thomas on Blue Collar Mystics.
Mm-hmm.
What episode was it, or what were?
I think I was fresh off of. I met with someone from LucidCenter.org, and I had like a 2-hour personal one-on-one session, and they basically broke, because I legitimately had an issue where I'll wake up and just never remember my dreams. Like, I know that something happened, but it would just be so fleeting and it would be gone by the time, even if I want to remember it. they gave me a bunch of techniques, doing a bunch of reality checks. One of the biggest ones is whenever you see text or like you see the logo on a building, look away and then look back at it. And if it changes, then you can kind of realize that you're in a dream, right? That was like it failing the reality check. Those are a big one. The other one that Abby, when she mentioned this, was like revisiting familiar places. And to me, like I don't do it intentionally, but there's like a certain like town and a house that like I live. It's like my dream house, and it's not a
that'll be
nice
your
house.
hub. It's your hub.
But it's horrible. Like it's always broken, and I always got to fix things, and it's like dangerous. But
Because
I
that's
always go
really
back
you.
there. It feels like the first level of GTA. Like I haven't
Mm-hmm.
upgraded at all. I don't have like the nice house yet. But recently, and this is it's only remarkable to me because I never remember dreams at all, let alone lucid dreaming. And now, whenever I realize I'm in this place, I know that I'm like in this lucid dream, and it's not like I have control over it necessarily yet. But anyways, recently I went back there in a dream, and we were packing up and putting things in boxes and putting into a truck and moving away. And this used to be recurring. And now I haven't had a dream that took place in this town or that house since I had a dream about packing up and moving. And I'm like, every time I fall asleep now, I'm like, where am I going to live next? I've got no idea like where the hell I was
You
going.
start mapping because you're already an artist. So this would be awesome. Because you just start drawing them at first,
yeah.
like draw the setting, and they won't connect at first. But after you get probably about 10 to 15 dreams, you'll start realizing how they're
You mean like
connected.
literally drawing like like the room and the like floor plan or what?
I don't know. I kind of I'll draw if it's just a house or whatever. Because what I started realizing is that mine is my hometown. So like my hub is my childhood home. Okay. Most of my dreams are there. And it's sometimes it's falling apart, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it has extra rooms. It just depends. And it's probably whatever's going on with my body is what I'm thinking at the time. But then I could put stuff that happens in Oklahoma or dreams that I've had that are in Cambodia. I can put them on the map of my small town. So like this one house is a portal to Cambodia because that's where the Cambodia dream is in this house. And then the elementary school cafeteria is where my gym is in real life, like in the dream space. So I could put them all on the same map. It's insane.
Where were you in Cambodia?
I don't know. It's in my, let me see if I can find it. I don't know if it's in my paper journal or in my phone journal.
Do you have like a map? Like you could actually like see if I wanted to go from point A to point B, or is it less linear than that?
Some of it I can put, like, I remember the street names in my hometown. So, my neighborhood, I could actually put quite a few dreams in my neighborhood. Actually, I wish I
Abby,
didn't
did
blur
you
my
see
background.
yourself like this in your dream before you became this?
No, I did that like in water. I did that in a bathtub.
Like looking in a reflection?
No, I just use water as a manifestation technique because in Tufty the Priestess, the Vadim Zealand book, he talks about how water is one of the most powerful ways to manifest. Like he says that you have a phantom limb, he calls the plait or the plate, but it's like between your shoulder blades. And when you lift it and you like imagine a scene, you basically cut your puppet strings and you take control of your life, and then you cause it to happen. You cause the sequence to happen eventually. But he said that you could do it in the water. You raise this same phantom limb, and water is in everything, and it travels through everything. It travels through the dirt, through the whole earth, the sky, the whole water cycle. So water is one of the most powerful ways to manifest. So if you manifest in the bathtub, just imagine the one scene, which I imagined myself being. I just imagined being smooth, firm, like shapely, and muscly. Like those were the things I imagined, just still very feminine. And I created it in the bathtub.
Oh, awesome. Okay, go on. I didn't want to interrupt
I'm
the
gonna try
dream
not
mapping.
I will turn off my blurring if I can figure that out really quick, so that way I can show you guys like on my phone. And I can't, so sorry, I was gonna
It's
show you.
okay. You can you can drop pictures, and next week I'll pull them up on the computer, and we can kind of, or you can draw a fake one of kind of what you do for people, and we can show everybody.
But they basically figured out, because this is also the dream hackers technique. So they figured out that pretty much there's certain elements that everybody has. Like you'll have a city, and the city's generic. The city could be like, sometimes my city is Chicago and sometimes it's Reno. It just depends, but it's the same city. You'll have like a mountainy area. There will be bodies of water. And then the dream map is reversed. So south is north and north is south, and east and west are reversed as well. So it's kind of like just backwards.
I'm totally screwed. Like I can't even keep directions right in this reality.
I just know like I could pretty much put every single dream that I have on this map of, I grew up in northern Nevada, so I can put it in northern Nevada. So that's why I know the directions. I just kind of do it.
Is it always a lucid dream? Like if you found yourself on like a certain street, or is it just like, do you have any way that you can take control and make it lucid, or is it somewhat involuntary?
I feel like for me it's involuntary. I mean, reality checks don't work for me because reality is so fucking weird. And you know how many, like the words messing up, you know how many times I type out a text and have to delete it?
Yeah.
So it's the same in my dream as it is in reality. So it's like,
And I'll say too, there's all these weird things in like lore that people are like, you'll never dream of technology, you never dream of clocks, you never dream of cell phones. And every time somebody comes up with one of these now, I always just text Abby, and she'll just put the word into her notes, and she'll be like, yep, all like here's all the examples.
yeah.
And so
When
I'm
people
like,
say you don't
there's
dream of
definitely
this stuff,
technology in dreams. That's
yeah.
silly.
I know people
I have
are...
advertisements in my dreams. There is such thing, man.
Well, there's another
People are
thing too.
Those are
advertising
real,
it.
by the way.
Yeah,
Where
they are.
there's
Right.
like the study where they're like, oh, only this amount of percentage of people dream in color. Most people dream in black and white. And I theorize because somewhere the TV messes with our dream state. And so most people dreamed in black and white because most of the TV was black and white back when. And now a majority of people dream in color because we have color. So then back to what Gordy was saying about the 4K and 1080p and what, are dreams changing in a way? Like, can they somehow, with these filters and with everything else, or even what Thomas was saying last week about Disney having some part of our nostalgia, can these things
Tron.
affect our dreams? Can they control this space that we're not even aware of, where they're almost like incepting our dreams?
Well,
I had
60
viral
hertz
ads.
too.
Yeah, I had viral ads the other night where on my phone they kept popping up and I couldn't shut them down. And then in my last lucid dream, I was lucid. I actually was lucid all night. I would go back to sleep and I would get it. The dream would say chapter 2, and then I'd wake up and I'd go back to sleep and I'd go chapter 3, and I kept respawning in this house in different areas. And this one time I respawned under the staircase, and I did it twice. There was a TV screen there, and there was ads on the whole time. And I was like, hey, I'm not freaking watching ads in my freaking dream. And it kept going. I couldn't shut it off. I was trying to shut it off. So I started hitting the TV. I was like, shut the fuck up. I'm yelling at it. And then all of a sudden, the TV got mad at me. It was like, it was so crazy that it didn't want to shut down the ads.
Can you read in your dreams?
I mean,
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's how you
You gotta ask somebody to read it to you.
Yeah, so that's so crazy. I have a save. I don't dream a ton, but I have a safe space in my dream. Like if I have, it's so weird if I'm having I don't really have bad dreams or nightmares. I can't remember the last time I really had something like that, but I can recall things that like have been intense. And it's weird how if I wake up from an intense dream, I 100% of the time will fall back into that dream. But if I'm having a dope dreamy dream and somebody wakes me up and I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I can never fall back into that.
I talked to God one time. Like, it was so amazing. And God was like sitting there talking to me, and my daughter woke me up. I was so pissed because there was no going back into that. I was like, I just had the best dream of my life. I was talking to God.
Did you say you had a dream that I painted your nails last night?
Yeah, yes.
What?
Because I don't normally have my nails done. It's just like the bodybuilding thing. And then I dreamt that you cut them all off and you cut them short and you did a little French manicure. And then right behind your desk, I was like looking through your drawers. I don't know why. And there was like this little like old fashioned lock with a skeleton key.
Huh. That's so interesting. I do sometimes paint my wife's nails, mostly her toenails. I don't mind painting nails, or I'll paint 3 nails on my own hand. Every time I think about getting a manicure, I want to get a full manicure, but I only want 3 of my nails painted. But then I've had some lady friends of mine recently tell me, like, you can still get a full manicure. You don't have to get all your nails painted.
Yeah,
Like
Do
a
they
manicure.
charge you for the full thing though, even though they're only doing 3, or like do you pay by the finger?
Well, what I realized, because I didn't treat myself like a girl for most of my life. So of recent, like I went and got a pedicure, and what I realized is, like, they massaged all the way up my calves. I'm surprised I didn't shave my legs. I was like,
That's amazing,
it
huh?
was
That's
such a
the best
treat.
part.
I
Yes.
had a spa. They massaged me. They did all this other stuff. And then I remembered in life, like, I always thought, like, sometimes my dad was bougie with my mom because before they'd go out of the country or something, he'd go with her to get a mani-pedi. And I'd be like, what? And sometimes he'd have like clear nail polish on his nails. Like, it wasn't shiny, but it was like, and I was like, what? But then now that I see like all the cuticle cutbacks, and I've been a marketer, so I went into podiatry offices and stuff like that. I see like the importance of like taking care of your feet. Like, also, because I've never really done
Commercial.
anything to my feet, I don't look like I've been kicking flour. I feel like there's a lot of women out there because they just, I don't know if they're wearing like so many heels or sandals or what, but their heels look like busted, and they look like they've been kicking flour around, and they all look like they've been ballerinas. I'm like, what is wrong with your toes? Why are like, I don't have the most attractive feet, but my feet aren't like busted.
It was like the binding. This is the binding ritual.
Yeah, sometimes I'm just like, dang, were you like a
Well, it's like this show of affluence. Like I'm gonna be so rich in this life that I don't even need to walk. Like I can destroy my feet and someone's gonna carry me around. It's like a really strange, like ancient version of that, I think.
like obese with tiny feet?
I think of messed up feet and I think of David
Wally
Goggins
people.
though, because like his feet have to be nasty.
David Goggins. That name sounds like it should. David Goggins. Who's that? Who's David Goggins again?
He's like the guy who he does all the extreme sports. I use his audio a lot on Instagram. He's just like he'll run 3 days straight. Like he doesn't take a break. Like he'll do like a team marathon thing where each person trades off every mile. He does it by himself. He
Are we
pushes
talking about
himself
Forrest
to
Gump
extreme.
again?
Huh?
Are we talking about Forrest Gump again?
He's harder than Forrest Gump.
That'll be a whole episode.
David Goggins is a badass.
David Goggins.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I
That's
know
my
that name.
algorithm. David Goggins and junk food.
Are your algorithm?
Yep.
Just watching people. My algorithm is dudes or ladies outdoor, like they're doing huge project, like huge meals, but they're just doing it really industrially or outdoors. And so they're just like chefing weird food by riverbanks or
Sounds pleasant though. Very aesthetic.
It's nice. It's
So if we're doing Summer's first, what is it? Top right?
Mhm.
First post don't lie.
For
whatever?
those of you that don't know, there is a thing that some people theorize, and that your algorithm can sometimes be a good thing. So you don't have to look at it that you're like, oh my gosh, look at it's listening to what I'm saying. Cool. You don't have to write it down. You're like, oh, I need a sleeping bag. And now sleeping bag comes up in your algorithm. So there's another one that when you pull open your Instagram and you touch your where it shows all your videos, your reels, in the top right, whatever your top right is like somehow your energy for the moment. So
Wait, so hold on. What's the exact steps?
I'm gonna okay. So you open your Instagram.
Yeah,
This is
you
so
go to your
silly.
own reels, right?
Yeah,
So
and you go up. Brittany is my first post. Don't
Mine
lie.
too.
That's a whole different one.
Yes.
You guys. Other than top right, there's also FPDL, which is first post. Don't lie.
Wait,
And
I don't get. Hold on, I'm already lost.
this is
Screenshot your first post.
because you know how sometimes you'll open up your Instagram
Yeah.
and there'll be a post there and then
Yeah.
it'll disappear and another post will be there.
Right.
So your first post that it shows you is just for you. Like that's just the algorithm. Like if there's a supercomputer, we're in the matrix. That's just for you to see right that moment. It's going to be for you to reset. Sometimes you can never find it again. Sometimes you're
Right.
like, that was hella interesting
Dude,
shit.
Yeah.
And-
I'm having to save them. Like I've got to
So
save this.
you can set up your phone so that the Apple symbol on the back of your phone is also you can screenshot with it. So you can double tap the Apple and it'll screenshot for you. So you'll get
Or
really
you just like get into the habit of always double tapping it
double tapping when you know you're about to open Instagram. So the other
I've
one,
never heard of that before.
so that's the FPDL. That's first post don't lie. So what Gordy's talking about is top right, and we'll have Summer in one night to explain this to everybody because there's so much genius to it. So top right is when you open Instagram and you press that, what is it, your home screen twice or your search button, the little search, the
Search
little
button,
cue
yeah. Mhm.
where it looks like a magnifying glass at the bottom. And then
it
at the
comes up with a
top
bunch
right
of stuff.
corner, there's always something. And so look at,
Oh, I
here's
love this.
mine.
This is
And look
great.
at it's weird because Gordy's was the elephant. So that's my top right.
Mine's David Goggins. You got the arm penis.
I never heard about this before.
I drew butterfly today because I was thinking how the apple looked like a butterfly. And when you cut it in half and how it had that exact same look about it.
Well, that's
This is a
interesting.
trip.
Gordy is a firehead.
So this is.
Oh my gosh, that's so creepy.
I keep seeing this.
Thomas, this is so creepy.
I already know this is a Runway ML Gen 2 video. But yeah, AI.
Oh, I hate it.
So definitely there'll have to be a drop at some point that'll be like, what's your top right? And everyone will just have to randomly pull out.
It should be like one of these things. Like you notice everyone's doing this and the last person to do it has to do the top right.
Right.
Yeah. All right. A guest. So if they're not paying attention. All right. What's your top right? Layla won't know next week when she's back.
Oh, we're gonna suck her into it. Yeah. So this is
perfect.
This is these things I keep seeing on my algorithm of this Shiva festival apparently just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all these videos of these dudes like cosplaying Shiva. I don't understand
why does that give off such like labyrinth Muppet vibes?
And
or like
those are supposed
crystals.
to be, yeah, it's trippy. And those are supposed to be skulls around his neck.
This is, man, I feel bad even saying this because I feel like I'm just so jaded. But I almost feel like he's at this point he's doing it for the clicks. Like he's just doing that for the likes. Like, come on, bro.
Oh, this is the
you're going
this
over
is
the
the
top.
monkey.
He's got like the soft box. You know what I mean?
I think they're playing it up for sure for the Instagram likes.
Don't do it for the IG, dudes. Just do it for Shiva.
The gram. Don't do it for the gram.
Don't do it for
these
the gram.
guys. This is the first one. These guys are actually installing a Ganesha statue or something.
This is off topic, but okay, enough with those people. Gordy.
Okay.
I just thought this was an interesting fact that I found out about you this week. Gordy has been a wedding singer in his past lives.
Was it from a past life regression or like a past life?
I'm just saying it
this lifetime.
A bunch of family and friends' weddings, but it happened.
He's a real life Adam Sandler.
So It's just somebody wanted me to do it, and you just do it, and somebody else wants you to do it, and you just do it. So
I've married a bunch of people in that kind of same way, where it's like someone asked me to do it and then I became it, and then other people heard about it and then they asked me. So now we can almost do a wedding.
I've been a
that'd be
bridesmaid.
fun. Do very different music.
What?
Believe it or not, I've actually officiated 2 weddings too.
Oh, we could be battling officiants. I got my officiant card. I'll tell you, at my 5-year anniversary for being an officiant, it was on 9/11. Because I'm that kind of weirdo.
On purpose.
Do y'all have any more Apple things?
I'm gonna have to go to sleep pretty soon.
I know, that's what I was thinking. I don't have any more Apple things anymore. Oh, do you have any Snow White ones?
We can be here for another 4
dude,
hours.
Yeah,
I
there's so much. So
I know. I was like, Snow White Apple specific. Anything weird you want to drop? No, you don't have
I don't know how many
What is it?
rabbit holes I want to open up with that.
Yeah, exactly. That you can't close. I can just connect it back to Alan Turing. Supposedly, the lore says that he was enamored. It came out in 1939, I think, and he was already working on this for the government for the war, right, when it came out. And supposedly they said that he was enamored with it, and that's why he had the apple. But I mean, we don't know if that's propaganda. Snow White. Anyway, there you
I
go.
think
There's
there's
Snow White.
more to the teacher thing too. I would love to dive deeper.
The teacher
into
thing, yeah, I bet.
Giving teachers
I was
apples.
thinking that too.
Killing them.
The
If it's all
whole
arsenic.
Maybe they
and
were
gifts.
trying to off that bitch.
Putting
that-
razor
that was
blades in them.
breaking life.
But even the
Do you
whole
think there's ever
school
been like
apple
the
thing.
incoming new, like in the teacher's lounge, like, now be
Yes.
careful,
School.
check your apples for late razor blades.
Yeah, it started in the teacher's lounge, and then
Right.
they just put it off on us. No one was trying to
Right.
kill the kids. It was always trying to off the teachers.
But every elementary school though does, like every grade too. It's like pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, all the way up. They always do apples, and they do like so and so bring red apples and somebody bring gold apples, you know, and then they do the taste test and then they learn graphing. It's so weird. It's like, but it's like they do it every year.
I thought bobbing for apples was a weird one that I didn't. That was the only other one on my list to
especially
bring
for
up.
Halloween.
And I was like, I wonder if the old plague ruined bobbing for apples. Like everyone has to stand in line and get a nose swab before they're allowed to bob for apples.
Oh my God.
It was probably the opposite. It was like when one of the kids gets like chicken pox, and you're like, hey, who wants to
Chickenpox
sleep over
party.
at Jimmy's? Yeah.
Right.
I know that used to be how we spread things and got stronger. And now it's the whole, they were like, just let all the kids slobber in the bucket. It's fine. We'll just tell them they're bobbing for apples. But then I was wondering if any other fruits floated like that we do that with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the bobbing for apples was, I think, like a courting ritual originally. It was like a way. It was almost like what do they call, like a minute in heaven or 7 minutes in heaven, where like you lock 2 people in a closet and you just force them to be in close proximity, in like an awkward situation. So
Like
it's almost
Lady
like a
and
trauma
Tramp, where they're
bonding.
eating
It's
the
like a version
spaghetti.
of that,
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's
I
what
guess.
bobbing for apples was.
We
Oh.
had one too where you had to put an apple under your neck and then like pass it between somebody else with an apple under their neck. And so it
right.
was like this super awkward. And all those things were always done boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, even when we were kids.
Well, because that's the original ritual that it was based on.
You're so right. It's so crazy. It's like a harvest ritual.
Can you still, I mean, not to be all like, apartments are too damn close, but like, are they still allowed to do boy, girl in schools? It almost feels like that's no longer something that would be acceptable. It almost
I
feels
know,
like
whatever
hate
you call yourself.
Our
'Cause then they're
school
like
doesn't
boy,
even let them
girl,
have PE
toaster,
together.
boy, girl, shark.
It's like boys PE and girls PE. They have separate, even
That's
music.
how that's how I always remembered it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had to go in the gym afterwards and shower in front of teachers through plexiglass windows. Oh, maybe that was just my schools.
Or they're earning those razor blades in some schools.
Yeah. I got all my gym teachers apples. Yeah. All right. Well, does anyone want to plug anything before we head for Z Hills, before we go plant apple seeds?
Plug all our Instagrams. Gordy_TWO_shoes. Find a bunch of owl shit. It's awesome. They're beautiful.
I'm working on projectchaney.com. I will put links for everybody on it eventually, and tell your friends about the show tonight. Hit the thumbs up button and hit the subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you for hanging out. If you guys want to say anything, Paranoid American, Abby.
Yeah, I was going to mention we meet at the docks on Wednesdays after midnight. So meet us down there, and we'll rock your world.
If you don't know what docs,
You would if
You're
if
not
you're
supposed
invited,
to
you know
yet.
what docks.
yeah. And congratulations to Abby. She
Yeah.
wasn't here last week. And yeah, you can tell everyone why if you want to.
So I competed in my first bodybuilding show. So I'm officially a bodybuilder. I've been working on it for 2 years. So
She didn't just compete, she won.
I got
How many bodies were left in your wake?
Champion.
Not very many. It's a small show. But
First time champion bodybuilder.
I qualified to go to nationals, so I'll compete for my pro card in December. So
But
yeah,
that was the point.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is like sponsorship next up, or what's like what are your milestones? Like what are your checkpoints?
Well, pro card would be next. You could do sponsorships before you even have a pro card, but you know, they usually look for people who have bigger followings on Instagram or whatever, but still it's I'll compete at nationals in December in Texas, and if I'm just top 6, I don't even have to win. Top 6 will get a pro card. So and then I can compete for money. That's not like being a professional bodybuilder is not, it doesn't pay a lot.
What point do you start doing steroids?
If you want to be taken seriously, you do steroids. I'll just say that.
At what level though? Like how many levels up is that when you're like, all right, I guess I either plateau or I start injecting steroids?
You do natural bodybuilding if you want to stay away from steroids. NPC, the main bodybuilding league in the world, is you can be natural, but if you're natural, you probably aren't going to go anywhere. So it's up to you if and when you decide, pretty much.
So it's like baseball.
Yeah, probably.
There's no crying in bodybuilding.
And it's not illegal in the sport unless you are in a natural league. Then they do polygraph tests and stuff. But in the NPC, it's not illegal. So,
and because Abby's humble, she entered 4 different categories, and she won first place in 2 categories and second place in 2 categories. And it was her very first competition she ever entered. So it's pretty rad. I won't I won't go into too much more about it and make you so embarrassed today, but I just think it's awesome. So congratulations.
It is awesome. I wasn't happy because I expected to get 4 firsts, but
on your first time out, yeah.
I did. I'm not gonna lie.
And I think it will be cool because, in my opinion, you will have sponsorship, and we're going to work on your social media too, because I want Abby to show me how to do all these different exercises at the gym. So I'm like, you might as well be showing everybody.
Yeah, you're right. It's a good idea.
Yeah. So more to come, and paranoidamerican.com. Anything you're doing this week or you have coming out?
Well, I just mentioned, I mean, I don't know if I've got them all, but I've got like a huge array of like new postcards and stickers that all came in today. Like here's my Aleister Crowley and the Bush family values, where there's a theory that perhaps Barbara Bush was the daughter of Aleister Crowley, which would make George Bush the grandpa, which why it says my grandpa is number 666 on his little cup there. And then I got these ones are brand new with me and Juan from the Occult Book Club. And this is if you've read Secret Teachings of All Ages a few times, this is from the artwork by Knapp, I believe his name is. And this is on the Pythagoras screen, but you can see it's like the American version of Pythagoras. And this one's one of my favorite ones is Abraxas. And you can almost make it out. This is the original artwork, and it's got the dude with like the rooster head, and he's got the snakes for the legs, and he's riding these 4 white horses on a gold chariot. And then
Turn it around again.
so here's the pinup
Yeah.
like a 1950s pinup version. If you notice, this is a white Cobra Mustang. So you got the snake, you got the horses,
Uh-huh.
and you got the chariot all in one with the same symbolism as everything. So so many. And here, and finally, I'm starting to come out. Here's a promo for my Never a Straight Answer comic, and I'm about to get that printed up for Christmas. I hope. I mean, we'll see. But yeah, this is the Stanley Kubrick directing the CIA moon landings. And then here's my Disney NASA.
It's awesome. And one of my
So many. I
favorite
got so many coming out.
is your Florida girl. That's Thoth.
I haven't
love
had that
her.
one printed up yet. That I had to decide between that one and a couple.
I would
others
get
that I
her
ended up getting
tattooed
printed up
on me.
instead.
She would be a great arm tattoo.
Yeah, I gotta dig them all out. But I've got dude, I'm about to drop something called the Paranoid American Propaganda Packs, and it would just be I'm trying to get the cheapest way to just get a big box of all these pamphlets, right? So that you can put them all over the place. These are the Homunculus Owner's Manual, but you'll get like a big pack to just like drop on friends and family or leave it in places and make them cheap enough so that you wouldn't, it wouldn't be costly to just leave them places.
Do you remember Wildlife Treasuries or the Pickles Bus when we were young? There was like a thing on Nickelodeon. Sometimes they'd have a commercial and you could get like a green box, and then you would subscribe to the Wildlife Treasuries, and every month you would get a new pack of cards of animals.
Right.
All right.
I almost feel like you should do something like that with it, where you get like, or like there was Garbage Pail Kids in the back. If you got them all and put them together, they made a puzzle.
Well, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but I've been working on a trading card set for the last year, and I was hoping to release it by the end of this year, but I'm probably going to take my time and release it next summer. But it's going to be called Conspiracy Cards, and it's like legit, like foil wrapped, shrink wrap, retail boxes, everything. And it's going to be the only trading card set that'll have like Jeffrey Epstein and Manly Palmer Hall and Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, all of my absolute favorite topics. And I just figure like what would be the best way to just get them out into, the open. So someone might open up a pack of cards they get at a comic shop and learn about Project Monarch, which is like the coolest thing in the world, in my opinion.
I love it. And I love it too if you add the 1 of 10 to some and 1 of 99 to some. So there's actually a value difference in wanting to collect them. Like some of them are harder to get, like blind box toys.
I'm already ahead of you. I don't have the example.
I know.
I got an old ass stamp from like the 40s, like an old automatic
Picture.
numbering stamp, and I've been like self-numbering these little packs of cards here. I actually got these from Michael's, but they had like the perfect little envelopes. So these are all like hand stamped and have like numbers. These ones not now because I got them all packed up behind me. But yeah. That'll be next summer, though. So,
are your glasses real? Somebody else asked that in the chat tonight.
It's just a filter.
Okay. See,
It is a filter.
I thought it was funny that we were talking about like all the AI and blah, 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 blah. And then right afterward, we all talked, like not all of us, but the girls in the room talked about their lighting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's kind of similar. Like it's not the filter, but the lighting was kind of the first filter of like. So
it is though.
Yeah, I won't get us all back into it because I know everybody has days and stuff tomorrow, but I appreciate that everyone joined, and I think this was really awesome, and I look forward to October because I think it's going to get full of monsters and witches and werewolves and blood and dead stuff. So, okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
This would be where outro music played, but I don't have that stuff yet.
Meet us at the monolith.
Yeah, and that if you're a dreamer and you can do that kind of stuff, yeah,
We're all astral projecting to the docks tonight.
All right. Word.
Yep.
Meet
The
you at the
docks.
docks.
The ducks.
Meet you at the docks. Okay.
Dream
bye-bye.
well.